And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing Prewipe. Delayed? Is it here? Question mark. In addition, we got some teasers from BSG in regards to Arena. Pretty exciting stuff. And then finally, Wipe has been confirmed slash
Very much not. Very much not confirmed. The least confirmed.
It's
In
been
fact,
confirmed to be delayed.
it's been. I wouldn't even say that. It's now just a mess.
Yeah.
Honestly, but we'll come to it. We'll come to that for sure. We'll come to it. Have you been, Church? What's been going on?
I've been good, man. Got back in town. What was that, Monday? Been getting back into work, which has been good. And I got to finish playing the finals because when I was out town, it was still going on. It was like only a week testing, and I really like that game. I mean, it's a fun, just kind of a fun shooter game, kind of like bringing back those classic objective gaming shooting stuff, and it's really chaotic, and I love that aspect of it. And yeah, other than that, just been playing some indie games here and there, but yeah,
Pretty good.
maybe we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been dabbling with a little bit of Diablo 4 myself. Off with a friend. A little bit solo, but then also with a friend. But Tarkov land has been going good, actually. We've had, it's been an interesting week to actually play. It's been a fun week of gameplay, and we finally did. I had a weekly to do Shoreline as well, so I had I can't remember how many raids it was, like 9 or something. It wasn't that brutal, it wasn't one of the crazy ones, but it was 150k XP, and that finally tipped us over to level 50. So I feel quite happy with the wipe progress in general. I didn't want to do Kappa for sure at the beginning of the wipe, and I flip-flopped a little bit, but I kind of knew I wasn't going to bother. But doing Lightkeeper and then getting to level 50 was kind of what I wanted to do in the wipe. It just feels good. So now I'm sort of like, oh, what now? We've been killing some bloodhounds and things like that. We could talk about those as actually, I guess that's probably the first point about the events and the situation, because I think last time we'd already had the bosses one and we'd had the bloodhounds event. They turned the bloodhounds event, the actual event off where they were 100% on all the maps. Now they're at 30%. That's actually continued through until now. So while I've been playing Shoreline, it was a relatively good map for the new event, this airdrops event that's appeared, but there's also the 30% chance of bloodhounds appearing, which was nice. And so we could hunt for those guys, as well as getting the weekly done, as well as doing the airdrops thing. And it's a good map to do it on. It's actually been quite fun. I would quite like them to leave bloodhounds in the game, especially on maps like Shoreline, because they appear at, apparently Weather Station, although I didn't see them there. They appear at Power, which is where I fought them mostly. They appear at I guess just over the other side of Power, like the end of the sort of spine of rocks, just over the water. So if you went from
towards
Power
the resort or down,
towards the west, actually, towards the tunnel. Yeah. So if you went from Power and you hopped over a little bridge and you went to the rock spine there, that they spawn around there too.
Huh.
And maybe there's another spot as well. I'm not sure, but those are the places that I've seen them, and it puts a bit more emphasis on those areas, which is good fun. Because Power Station, there isn't really anything. There's sniper scav and there's some scavs and people doing scav killing quests. Right. They go there early wipe, but then later on it kind of goes away, and there's not really anything there. Right? There's some loot, but there's no quest there. There's quests down at Pier, and I guess that's next to gas stations, so that kind of drives people that way. But there's not really anything at Power Station, and I quite like having a potential spawn chance there, because it's not even like Sanitar spawns there, right?
No.
And the fact that goons can also be there, it feels much more dynamic. You've got Sanitar maybe, the goons maybe, bloodhounds maybe. I would quite like them to stay on Shoreline personally, but I don't know, we'll see. They'd have to tailor the kits a bit. I mean, some of them have hex grids and things, so clearly you have to do what they do with raiders or have done with raiders and minimize their kit. But anyway, so the new event, which appeared before, since we did our last one, because the previous cast was last Wednesday, so it's been a week and a little bit, was this airdrops event that they were running. So airdrops on every map. They were coming probably every 8 minutes or something after the first sort of 5 or 10 minutes. which was pretty nuts. And it was like the previous airdrops event in some ways. They did post out a picture. It was the same picture, I think. They just lifted the picture from last time and just posted it out. And then, but this time was a little bit different because each airdrop only has 2 items inside, and it's just 2 weapons cases. And everyone was like, "Huh!" like initially, but they were these sealed weapons cases, right? So it turns out they were like the pumpkins from Halloween. So you had to put them in your bag, and then you had to take them out of the raid, and then you had to open them in your stash. And when you open them, the cases disappear. So they're not actually real weapons cases. Which, I mean, it'd be silly if they were. But the stuff inside was kind of good. Now, unfortunately, when they first released it, as is classic VSG style, the event wasn't working properly, and the cases didn't have anything in them. So I was on within an hour of the event launching, which was kind of cool. And normally I'm like, it was just random chance. It turned out that I was just happened to be on for that stream session an hour later. So I was like getting as many cases out as I could, and sort of reporting back as well on whether we could open it or not, and other people were too. And I think I opened about 6, and they were just all empty. And people were like, "No, you need to put it in the sorting table," and that's how it works. It's just like, no, these ones just don't work. And then in one of the chat channels, BSG actually were confirmed basically like, yeah, it's a bug, and we're working on it. And even if you save them, like the ones that are broken, they will still be broken after we fix it. So you didn't really lose anything by opening them up. But it's not like something that was going to get changed across all jobs. It was only like from the point where they fixed it, then there was going to be loot inside.
That's interesting.
It was quite interesting. Like, I actually really liked the event because rather than having to sit there for 15 minutes, just like unveiling every single square on the grid, it only took like 2 seconds, right? Because only 2 items in there. So
yeah,
it's just like
true.
weapons case 1, weapons case 2, and you're just like in the bag and off you go. It like took no time, which was really neat. But then each one was like 15 kilos, and you didn't know what was in it.
Yeah,
so you're kind of like weighed down, and you're just trying to get to the exit, but obviously lots of other people are going for it, and we did a little bit of it onwards as well. But yeah, I do. It was good fun. It was really, really good fun. The actual gameplay was great, but there was one part about it that I thought was probably the most interesting thing. And I mean, I haven't seen most people's takes on it really, so I'm not sure what other people thought. But you got a random selection. Like once they fixed it and you are getting good weapons, you got a gun and then a random selection of stuff. So it was like I got like a DVL a couple of times, an SV98 twice, I think, AK103, Mark 18, SA58. I think there was one. What else was there?
If I'm not mistaken, these are like you get the base gun and you get like mods for it as well, typically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got a GL as well one time. So yeah, what you get is the basic gun, like the default gun that you'd buy off the trader. And then you get an assortment of attachments that go with it to turn it into not necessarily like the meta weapon, but it's to turn it into some kind of what looks like a preset. Yeah, so you'll have like an SV98. The SV98 is the most obvious one because you get the SV and then you get like the OV stock, the handguard, and the new stock, and that's basically a full conversion kit up to the good SV that you get from Jaeger. And you get some meta bullets with it, and then some like random meds and a bit of food as well, generally, and maybe some stims. And there's like an assortment of things. But what was super interesting was this kind of like kit nature of the guns. I don't know whether it does seem like the sample of different weapons that you could get was relatively small. So somebody could have gone and just put these things together. It looked too deliberately put together to be like procedurally generated. If that makes sense. Like the kits kind of made too much sense, and the mods made too much sense. But what it signified to me was that BSG was thinking about this in a way rather than just like, oh, you get an SV98 and then just a bunch of random other crap along with it. It's like, here are the specific things to make a good gun out of this. Like someone's thought, let's put the items with the guns that are sensible to actually build something. And there were very few. I think there might have been one weird thing. I think there was one. I think you got an Altor upper with the AK. Oh yeah, I got an AK102 as well. I think I got an Altor upper with the AK102, which is like, oh, it's the 5.56 AK, but then it ended up coming with like the Meta M4 upper. I think there was like a mistake there on that one. I'm not sure if I did or not. I didn't actually like look specifically, but I had like 2 of them, and I think I wasn't really sure where it had come from. But yeah, they were like very kind of tailored, and it reminded me a little bit of what we talked about with weapons in raid, and about how you might open a crate up and then you get an assortment of things with it. It made me feel a little bit, think a bit of that, which I was like, that's actually kind of cool. Like if they're thinking about putting weapons and like an assortment kit parts together as a drop, that's sort of what I would like to see. You know, I'd like to see in Rage you open up a stock, you get a stock AKM, but then inside is like maybe one of the good handguards, and maybe you get like 13 rounds of BP, and you know a couple of the good rounds, and then some of the lower rounds, whatever. It's like, you know, early wipe, or if people are just like finding stuff, you actually get some of the good rounds with it. It makes you like min max a bit more, and it's much better than just finding an AKM, a TT trigger, you know, an M1911 pistol grip, and whatever other garbage. It's like a more sensible, thought through loadout of items that come as part of a drop of some kind, which I was like, actually, this is really cool. So I like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that they have like it's a sensible. It's not procedurally generated. It's like someone went in and said these are the parts to go with this space gun. Because I would have thought, you know, someone pitched the idea to me like, hey, we're gonna do this event. They're gonna, you know, get gear from these weapon cases, blah blah. I would have thought they would have had it already like pre-assembled, like the guns and whatnot. And
Yeah.
it just kind of makes you know, thinking more of the back end stuff. I'm just curious if the because like for example, for the traders, when they have like these like modified guns that they sell, it's basically a a sort of like hidden handbook within the game that has like all the components of the build associated with it.
Yeah.
And I would wonder if they could just do that. But maybe that's not possible with the unpacking system. I'm not really sure. But that aside, I think the event's really cool because and it's kind of a weird thing. Like, okay, so on one hand, I like that you, as you're describing, you want to go in and get this case, and then you loot it. You don't know what's in there. It's kind of like a loot box, but like in raid. But it weighs like 15 kilos, so you got to take that out, and so that adds like and it's like a, you know, cumbersome. What is it, 2x8 or something? Like it's kind of interesting. Or is it 2x10? Anyways,
Yeah, there were two. So there were 10 slots. So 2x5, and
yeah,
then two of them.
yeah.
So you could, in theory, and what I quite liked about that is that you could, in theory, fit them into like a scav backpack or a burkut as well. So it didn't exclude it. It wasn't like, you know, it's an enormous thing that you just can't take unless you've got like a massive backpack. It's like everybody can participate because you just put a burkut or a day pack on, and you could take both of them. There are only two. I mean, there were multiple airdrops, so I was like, you could, in theory, bring the mega backpack and try and get like more than one. But I mean, they already weigh so much.
Yeah, because it's almost like it changes the game. I mean, a game mode a bit, because it's like, you know, if you really care about these rewards, it's like you kill, you know, you go and like you could loot them yourself, or like you could chase people down to like potentially see if they got some, and then take out more. Like, I don't. It's kind of interesting. You know, it's like I mean, it is very similar to regular Tarkov play, but it's like very like condensed down and boiled down. You know, instead of like the loot being spread across the map entirely, it's just like very concentrated. You know, it's like this giant grid that contains a lot of valuable loot that is just like, it's all very like simplified. So it's kind of interesting in that regards. But I did feel that, you know, it is kind of sad to not be able to open it in raid and like use the things to like help you get out. You know, you know what I mean?
Kind of. Yeah, I still don't know what you mean, but
you're kind of missing out on the like a little bit of the intensity maybe goes, I don't know, I'm not really sure, because like I would say that, you know, you open, well, I could think one reason why they may not want to do that is because people might put the good stuff in their butts, like the N993. That might be one reason why they didn't do that. I'm not really too sure, but
I mean, to me, there's a couple of things that you made me think about there. It's like, yeah, normally, you know, everyone's saying like, oh, you can't carry out all the loot because it's too heavy.
Right.
Well, this was quite like interesting because, yeah, so the case themselves, they went through, there was a weird thing, and I'm not sure whether this was still the case. I didn't test it properly because we didn't really have a chance to, but they were 15 kilos to start with. And then when they changed it and actually fixed it, the cases seemed to have a higher weight. So you could sort of see how heavy they were based on what was inside. But when you pick them up, they only weighed 15 kilos to you as a player. So you could like click on it and say like 33 kilograms, but you'd put it on. No, you put it in your bag and it was only 15. But it's kind of interesting because it's like you've got, this kind of inertial dampening device basically in your backpack. It's like everyone complains because you can't take enough loot out of the raid. Oh, well, this thing is just like half the weight of what the stuff is inside. So it's like this weird mechanic that sort of circumvents it and makes it feel a bit more fun than normal. But you don't know what's in there. So you can't like min-max the stuff. Like if you knew it was an SV98 drop, you might not take it, right? But you have to because it could be a Mark 18. You just don't know. And it was, that's the thing that I like the most about it. It's like you always wanted to get out, and you weren't just like, oh, what's in this? And it's not quite the meta loadout or whatever, and you'd end up just like leaving it. It's like you can't really, within the scope of what we saw anyway. I mean, maybe you would be able to with the weight eventually if people figured out the different kit weights and stuff. But I mean, it was a short event, so no one bothered. But if you just made it like a flat 15, you can't actually see even the weight inside. You're not able to min-max that. And it's like every case feels valuable. It always feels good to get out with it. It does weigh enough, but to get both of them, it's like 30 kilos on top of whatever your kit was already. So you're almost certainly needing to use a mule, which ended up going to like 200k, by the way, because everyone was needing to use one basically every raid. And and it drives like some interesting PvP in parts of the map that you wouldn't normally play in. Like I played a lot of Shoreline for this event, and it was really cool. Like so many fights around weather station, around power, around that spine bit, because like you've got the bloodhounds there as well, and there's there's all these airdrops dropping down. Like it was awesome. I really really enjoyed it. I genuinely did. But it's funny, this kind of like circumventing of the space for a start and then weight as a secondary point with these sort of like loot drops, but they're not knowing what's inside. There's this kind of like gambling mechanic of like, oh, what am I going to get? Like I could get Mark 18,
right.
Or the other one, which was like, I think AK-103 was just like, I can't remember which one it was. It was either I think it was the SA-58 that was just like awesome drop. Like the gun is just trash, but you got like 120 rounds of M993 or something. It was like absolutely busted amounts of like super stupid ammo. So since then I've just been using M903. Like you get like MAIAP, like the Mark 47 338 Lapua came with 40 bullets of Lapua AP.
Which is pretty crazy.
Which is crazy. I took it out. I only got one. I took it out into the raid, and I've played 2 raids where I'd looted 2 more crates. I played the 3rd raid where I finally fought somebody, and I didn't get to fire it. I just died. So I didn't actually shoot any of my AP. I just died with it. But then I killed somebody else with the Mark 18 later. So actually now I still have one more. But it's just that classic thing of like, you take out the big, like, mega cannon, and then you just don't even see the guy get shot in the head. It's a classic Tarkov. But no, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
In that regards, like I think it's a well designed, thought out event, because it's like you said, you really can't or they kind of circumvent some of the natural problems, quote unquote, that they put in the game. You know what I mean? Like the weight, the inertia, and then
and then the picking and choosing of stuff. It's like there's always a chance you're going to get something amazing, so you have to take it, even though most of the time it's going to be average or whatever. I guess like the one interesting thing about it is that because people were like, I was like, no, this isn't. Surely this is like, people started talking like this is pre-wipe. As soon as the crates started coming down, people were like, this is pre-wipe. This is definitely pre-wipe. Look what's happening. And I was like, no, this isn't pre-wipe. Like I was like, this is kind of the same. I think we'd looted one crate. I can't remember what my first one was, but it was something fairly normal. And I was like, look, this is the same as usual, right? Like, yeah, you get MAI AP, but everybody's got BP anyway who's using like a mutant or an RD. Like, how different is this? Like, it's really not that big a deal. And as time went on, and like after fighting the Mark 18 and then getting like stupid amounts of gosh, I've already forgotten what it's called. The top one for like the one above M61. I literally just talked about it. Oh, M993, yeah. After getting stupid amounts of that, I was like, I don't know, maybe. Like I sort of, my mind started to change, but then they've turned the event off, and it turned out that it wasn't pre-wipe at all. I mean, it depends on how you define pre-wipe. Like some people define pre-wipe as the period of time before the wipe occurs in the late wipe, once events start happening that start to skew the game's economy, which is not really how I define it. I normally define pre-wipe specifically as like, we know the wipe's in a week. Like there's daily events. Things are about to be 1 ruble really, really soon. That's me anyway.
Yeah, that's usually. I mean, that's usually probably like the most rigid definition for it would be like traders are 1 ruble. Because it's pretty historically accurate, and the following day or the following couple of days there's a wipe. But I guess like they've done like pre-wipe events in the past. Like you remember the Scav Karma event, and they had like the fog event, and I think we had like 3 or 4 days of those, and then the wipe happened. Maybe it was 5 days. Might even been a whole week of events, but it's kind of just like whatever. But because I mean, in some ways, like this doesn't like it does like affect the economy, but like it's not like long term. Like in my opinion, the BP unlocked, like those things are a bit more long term because it's like they're permanent for the remaining time. Whereas like sure you get gun gear and ammo, but all those things are like consumables, so like they're gonna go away at some point. They're not. It's not like a permanent unlock, I guess. But
No,
the other thing, going back to like the looting the crates inside a raid, maybe another reason why I didn't want that to happen is because people might be incentivized to bring in no gear. Because like as you said, if the loot inside is like 45 kilograms, how are you gonna take that out when you come in like 30 or whatever? So you go in naked, get fully geared up. It basically turned it into like a battle royale event, which is like kind of like contradictory to what Tarkov is aiming for, I think. So it makes sense the way they structured it. Although I still want some type of event where like, or not even event, but like some type of like loot room in Tarkov, Kiba, Reserve. I guess Reserve kind of has this, but maybe like March room, but like just spawn like a really fancy looking gun, man. I really want that.
Yeah. No, it would be good. I hope that this is like the precursor to that kind of thing. It's like it shows good willing and good thought process on their side, which is like, yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for good thought processes, and I like the way that this event has been put through. There isn't any like funky business with it really, and the way that the weapon loadouts have been put together, it's like here's the base gun, but there's sometimes I think there was like maybe a few different ways. Like usually you got one alternatives, like DVL, you could go loud, and then it gave you all the parts to make it silenced, and like this is pretty neat. I like it. If they can then do that with some of the loot, the dynamic loot. I mean, I don't know if dynamic loot boxes is going to have any bearing on the actual loot inside, but you can imagine them putting something like this in at some point that's vaguely related. You have related attachments appear alongside the gun and stuff. I'm excited for it. I think it's cool. Like someone's thinking about it somewhere.
Yeah, I had another thought. Like you could do, so you know how there's like 3 different weapon crates. There's the green wooden one. Then there's like the weapon case one. And then there's like a big box.
A really big black one.
Yeah, and then there's the big green one. So like what if in the little green one was like a 2x5, you spawn like base guns, and then like in the weapon case you spawn like slightly fancier guns, and then maybe in like the big green one you could, or sorry, the big black one you could spawn like 2 slightly fancier guns, something like, and maybe like Mark Room spawns like these crazy looking tricked out guns or something, but just something to like spice it up a little bit, make it like you could like have like a preference or prioritize certain crates. I mean, of course now they got dynamic crates coming in, who knows what that's going to look like, but I could see a lot of different things. Like maybe you put the more luxurious crates in more high traffic areas, and the green crates on like the outskirts of the map or something.
Totally makes sense to do that. Yeah. So the other part about it, I guess, the last little bit was the ammo that you got in the event came in boxes. So we've never seen.
Oh yeah, I did see those.
AP and BS. So I see maybe BS 762 did, but yeah, there's like all of these things all came in ammo boxes. I think they just like reused the 9x18 box. I think I didn't actually check, but somebody said that somewhere. But anyway, like they don't have their own special box or anything. But I think those boxes are still in the loot pool now, so you can loot them. They're not. It's not like the spawn rate is like crazy or anything, but you can get them in ammo crates, like places where ammo spawns. You can actually still get them now, it seems. And I'm not sure if you can still get the weapons crates from quests. You could while the event was active. I actually got 2 of the weapons crate, like the sealed weapons crates, for my weekly. So after the event was finished, I like grabbed the crate and people were like, "Oh, is the event still on?" I was like, No. This is like a reward for the weekly quest that we did for Shoreline." And then I opened up the 2 final ones to get the last few bits. So I'm not sure if they're still in the pools in that sense. I don't actually know.
So like when you went to unpack the ammo, did it like say, 40 pieces of M993?
Yeah.
So it called it out. Interesting.
Yeah. Said what it was before you opened it. You knew.
Interesting. Because I was thinking maybe they just took like the 9x18 box and like when you unpack it it's like preset to give you rounds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus them renaming the box allegedly and doing
yeah.
the same
I think
thing.
the model was the same. I think that was the thing. I think they just reused the model. But it said something different on it, so you could actually tell what it was when you got it in. But
That's interesting.
Yeah, pretty fun. Like everyone's like lots of people, because I think a bunch of people did think it was pre-wipe. So you've been seeing some like turbo geared people playing right now. But I've been playing with the G28 just because it's kind of fun, and I like these kind of like off meta weapons.
Right.
Sometimes I got one, maybe I got one in a drop or something. I can't actually remember, and I was just like playing around with it. But it's super fun because you can make that gun really light. I actually really like it and like do a bit about it because like most of the guns are just like they've got really good recoil, and they're like they get down to super low recoil, but they're like a bit hefty. They're a bit heavy. Like there's that swing when you go ATS, like, and it's really hard to avoid. Like with the M1A and the RSAS, they're just like heavy guns, and they feel great to shoot, but oftentimes you're kind of like surprised by somebody and you need to ADS and the gun's swinging all over the place. And you're like, oh god. Whereas like G28, like yeah, it's a bit worse when you're firing like medium distance. It like shoots up quite a lot and it takes a bit of time to come back down. A bit like the M1A actually, but without as low recoil. But the fact that you can just like snap onto targets like an M4 is insane. Like if you build it with the lightest parts, like Thunder Beast suppressor, and actually all of like the non-meta parts, like the short handguard and like the basic stock, because like half a kilo lighter than the good stock. And then you put a Voodoo on it, and then you load it fully like 20 rounds of M903. It's 4.5 kilos. So it doesn't have any of the swing on it or anything. And you can like arm stamina for days. Like I was using Meldonin and I did some testing on it, and because strength has an effect on this too. So at 32 strength is what I'm at. You can hold that gun up while standing for 40 seconds. It's a really long time with Meldonin on. It's a long time. You can just be like scanning around. Yeah. So I think it's 30. What is it actually? I can't remember. I think it's like. I see. I've got it written down somewhere, but it's kind of like you can hold the G20 up like 8 seconds longer than the RSAS or something like that. Maybe it's not that much. Maybe it's like 5 seconds. But then you get like another 8 seconds from having Meldonin on. Just a half tick of stamina just allows you to hold it up that extra amount of time. And also because things like the heavier guns, they drain the stamina quicker. And the Meldonin is like a plus 0.5 flat. If the stamina drains more slowly to start with, that means that you get even more time to hold up the gun. Because, imagine it only drained half a point of stamina. Well, you'd have an infinite stamina then at that point. So like the closer you get to zero, actually it makes it like even better. It's not just proportional, it's like even better. It's like I think on the RSAS it allows you to hold it for like 27% longer or something, and with the G28 it's like 35% longer. So something along those lines, because it's like it's got even bigger effect on an even bigger amount. So it's like doubly as big. It's like double as good. So I was like using Meldonin every time and just being able to snipe people with that, which is really cool. But
I've seen people pop SJ6s. I think the blue stem makes you run faster for sniping, which like when I saw that I was like, that's weird. Why is he doing that? I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense actually. Yeah,
I don't even know. Like, I'm not even sure if your stamina would go down. Like, not in any sensible way. Like it would take minutes. It would take literal minutes if you had an SJ6 on. Like your stamina probably wouldn't run out by the time the stim was off. I wouldn't have thought.
Probably.
Because how long is SJ6? Like 3 minutes or something? Can't remember.
2, but I'm not sure.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah, so you probably wouldn't run out, right? Like if Meldonin's like nearly a minute on its own, like 40 seconds. With SJ6, I just think there's no way. But yeah, there's been some like turbo geared people, but because of getting these drops with the FAL, I've like cleanly gone straight through somebody's forehead with the Bastion Class 6 plate on because we've got everyone 3 in the gun, and there's a guy who like ran up on us with a Zabralo and just like beamed him, like multiple slicks. Like people are bringing out the good stuff because a lot of people did think it really was proper pre-wiper, but I don't think it is. And now they've turned the event off, and now we have no events. We're gonna have to see if anything comes this weekend before we can kind of make any more predictions or whatever.
I did hear an interesting theory in regards to the event, that some people were speculating that the kits were arena kits. Are you in that camp?
I did hear this. I thought it could be an interesting. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't think so necessarily. I don't know why they would need to be in the drops. I don't know what that would be testing or anything. Or maybe you like pick them up in raid and then you can use them at another time. I don't really know.
I just assume it was like them, hinting at something. You know what I mean? Like teasing. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like the hidden secret message in the bottle type of stuff.
Yeah, it could be. I don't think so, but I could see it maybe. So should we just talk, like, because this is kind of sort of on that. I was going to talk about some other stuff about, actually we could talk about arena first. That's fine. We could talk about arena. So I assume you saw the announcement about the pro team testing arena mode. I don't know if they're BSG HQ or anything like that, but they had Virtus Pro come in and test them out. Now, I think you're a bit more plugged into like the pro scene of these things than me. And I read around a few places because I just assumed it would be like the CS team or something. Somebody else said somewhere that it was like the Rainbow Six guys. Somebody else said somewhere that some of the players weren't even like necessarily on any active roster, but just affiliated with the group
too. Yeah.
Like, do you know who they were? Or any of the
no,
players
I mean,
in particular?
The only VP team I like, kind of recognize is like the Dota 2 teams, and that's like probably an outdated roster. Like I didn't see Pasha on there. Or I think that's the only one I could think. Maybe Ramses is probably another one. But I mean, I made the joke. I think it was Hayes that said something about it, and I was like, "Oh, bro, they they used the Dota 2 team to test arena." But no, I didn't recognize any of the people. I also kind of assumed it was CS. Like I did, that was my assumption. I'm not really familiar with CS rosters these days, especially.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not sure who they are, but like somebody said that there was some Rainbow Six dudes and whatever. But like, either way, the community's kind of like split. The first initial take from a lot of people was just like, what are they doing? Why are people who are not Tarkov players, why are they testing this thing first? Like, what's going on? Like, blah, blah, blah. That was like the first take from most people. And then the community kind of like took a breather and then split more into like, we're enraged that we didn't get to try it first versus the other side, which was like, hold on a minute, right? This is supposed to be kind of the esports ready title. It makes sense to have players from outside of Tarkov come to play this thing because that's probably their target audience for the damn game, right? Like all the people from Tarkov are gonna try arena anyway. So if you're thinking about your new player base, you want somebody from CS, somebody from Siege, you want them to come try it.
If it's truly an esports targeted game, then you want people who compete in esports. I mean, you want their input, definitely.
Exactly, because like the Tarkov gamers, the dudes at the top level are clearly very, very good, but like Tarkov's not an esport, so it's just a different vibe, right? When you've got people with a different mentality, I think it's good to get an outside opinion. There's a hive mind within each
like
community.
Two different values there for sure. The value of them being like, esports players kind of know what they want, I guess, or like they think they do at least. I would imagine. And they're usually like good like determinators of like, hey, this would be, you need to change this is not like, this doesn't feel good, this isn't very like competitive friendly, this is pretty broken, things like this. But then you also, as you said, you also get the outside opinion as well. It's like an outsider, that's pretty valuable as well.
It'd be interesting to see what I'd love to know what they said about 100%. Stuff and like how honest they were. Because there were certain things that they may well just be like, look, this isn't competitive. And those two might be like, oh, but we quite like this feature. And just like, no, this feature sucks for competitive game. Like, no, you can keep it in your, sweaty milsim cosplay version of the game if you want, but don't keep it away from the competitive scenes. Like, it'd be interesting to see what they said.
I haven't played Siege, so I don't really know what it's like. But I was under the assumption it was going to be the CS:GO team, and so I was like really hoping they were going to talk about inertia. Be like, hey, this feels really bad because I anytime I talk about inertia, I always reference CS:GO. It's just like,
yeah, I'm actually not sure. Genuinely, I'm not really sure. There was a little piece of extra color because like a lot of people were. There's just a lot of people just chatting mad crap across
Yeah.
the social medias. But there was it was actually Waytime Cheating who posted probably like the first like base tweet that I saw on the topic, honestly. And he wrote like man, part of me wishes Tarkov Twitter wasn't so out of touch. Getting a new set of eyes on the game is never bad. We haven't even seen what it's really like. Why have an opinion on something you haven't experienced? And Applesor Daniel, one of the community managers, he wrote, to add a little bit onto this one, from the list of players who participated in the testing, a few of them have 2,000 plus hours in Tarkov as well. Thus, they were able to provide all-rounded feedback, which was good. And I think that helped people feel a bit better about it from some of those who were a bit butthurt. I mean, obviously, some people are just going to be mad. They're just going to stay mad no matter what. But for those reasonable people out there who didn't like it, because, if you don't like the idea of the outsiders, them with a capital T, coming and testing it first, then fair enough. But at least it's like, there's a bunch of these guys that do actually play, have played before, and understand what the game's about, like have enough hours to know the flaws or whatever. And it's probably good to get a mixture actually, even there. It's like some people who are play Tarkov enough but are not Tarkov mains, people who don't play Tarkov at all but are esports players. Like that's actually an interesting mix more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
So
It's very
that
weird
was cool.
seeing some of these takes out there. I mean, I don't really know when I'm cheating, but I was kind of surprised because it's very, for me, it's very easy to lump a lot of these like,
Shift W, Chad,
PvP
Labs
bros.
main,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's very easy to put him in like a bubble or a box. So he kind of like broke that, which is always good. For myself. Yeah. So yeah, that was. I mean, I thought that was. I don't know, man. People are weird.
People are weird.
Or just farming engagements, one or the other.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like about the whole pre-wipe thing, because I'm just like, maybe I should have just, maybe I'm just doing my job wrong, right? Like if I'm making content, I should be just like, guys, it's definitely pre-wipe. Like and subscribe. You heard it here first. It's 100% pre-wipe. Just like feed into the hype. I just can't do that. You
do that, and then when you're inevitably wrong, right? Then you do an apology video, so you're doubling up on the content, and then you beg for likes and subs afterwards. It's a win-win. Dude.
I promise I'll do better next time.
Oh, guys, I'm serious. This time for real, confirmed. Okay.
Yeah. So I think there's some of that as well. I did think this. I was just like, so many people just being like, it's like pre-wipe, let's go. But it was actually, I think Nice Guy actually did say like, I don't think this is pre-wipe. And then it was in one of his other videos. It was just like, yeah, I don't think this is pre-wipe. It's like the pattern doesn't really fit. Because when I was talking to my chat about it, I was just like, well, I think we still have a Chronicles of Rigi left too. And
yeah,
I don't know, like it just doesn't feel the right time. And like I was expecting like other stuff to come or whatever. But like anyway, back to Arena, because we'll talk about that other stuff in a sec. Like back to Arena, it's good to know that it is in a playable state at least, because that's what that tells us, right? It's playable and they can show it to outside people who aren't just going to laugh, although maybe they're under NDA not to laugh publicly. So who knows? But it's it's in a state where they feel comfortable showing people outside the community at least about the game. So I mean, it's probably not that far away from the first set of testing. I wouldn't have thought. And if I was going to guess, and this is under the assumption that we have 6 monthly wipe cycles, regardless of when the timing is or whatever. But like, if we have 6 monthly wipe cycles, if I was PSG, I would probably release it in October or something like that. Once the wipe has died down, then you release Arena, get everybody excited, and then you drop like a big content patch in December for like patch 14 or something.
Yeah,
that to me makes tactical sense, right? Because it's like you don't really want all these players from the esports scene turning up, testing out this new game to play in the middle of like the most like cluster of technical fix period that Tarkov's ever going to be going through, which is suspected to be the case with the whole changes to the networking and Unity and desync and culling and yada yada yada, right? You know, that would be terrible timing. If they're thinking about it sensibly, this next 4 months, whenever it comes, should really be that fixed period, and then you build up the hype with Arena, and then you drop the big content patch, and people are now interested in Tarkov. They've been playing Arena, and they're just like, hell, maybe I'll just try out the base game. Right? There's been a huge patch come for it. Like everyone's excited about the game. Strategically, that seems like it makes a lot of sense to me. That's what I would do if I was BSG.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. You present a good case.
So Arena confirmed in October, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like Arena's coming into this year, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's always just so questionable. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we don't really know. So I mean, yeah, I'm excited. I think Arena will be cool. I'm actually quite looking forward to it. So the other piece of news, which sort of ties in, because we keep sort of alluding to Wipe and stuff, because a lot of people are talking about it. I get like just peppered in my chat constantly by people asking about when Wipe, and as is natural. I can't blame anybody for asking, and whether there's any tease, because a lot of people just don't keep up with all the social media. Like it's quite funny as a content, you're in a weird position as a Tarkov creator. Because you're like in the middle of the hub of all this stuff, right? There's all these random things going on. There's like Tarkov Twitter. Like unless you're like permanently online, you don't necessarily see everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And so as a creator, you're kind of like that hub of information, because there isn't like a centralized hub of info for everything. Like, yeah, you could go to Nice Guy's channel or whatever, but like he's going to tell you like the most important things. You won't necessarily get like, oh, well, this guy thinks this guy thinks that, this guy thinks this. It's like it's just a different thing. So depending on what people are asking for in particular, you're kind of like this like centralized like knowledge source about just like the state of the game.
Your job is Tarkov. Like you're probably more plugged in than the average person. So they kind of look to you to like get some of their makes sense.
Which makes sense. And it's different from another game. It's just like, oh, did you see like, and everybody's read like the Valve update on Dota 2. It's just like, okay. Whereas like not everybody's seen the Virtus Pro thing. Not everybody's seen like this random message that came through on Discord. Like not every, this is like it's so fragmented that the creator is actually really important. I kind of only thought about this relatively recently when people started like pestering me with like when Wipe questions, and I was just like, there's a reason why this is the way it is. You know? Which is pretty funny. But anyway, so the new piece of information that has come out is there is a BSG affiliated, I guess you would call it, tournament from the Hunt. Yeah, so I guess sort of sponsored
and like supported and affiliated.
Yeah. Because this is the thing. There was I shall say that in a sec. I'm getting off topic. So the Hunt have brought back a new tournament. Well, I don't know if it's a series, but just a new tournament called Amped. And it's basically a PvP labs tournament. It's a bit like, was it Punisher 3? Was that the one that was the labs tourney?
Yeah, I think so. Or no, Punisher 3 was Factory.
Or was it Factory? What was the labs tourney?
I know
that one.
I'm pretty sure that was Punisher 2. It might have even been Punisher 1.
Oh, okay. Maybe you're right. Wait, no, but Punisher 1 was Factory, I think, wasn't it? Maybe it was Punisher 2. I don't remember. But anyway, so the Hunt Amped, it's got 144 people. There's 2 events on 2 days. Participants will play on private servers, and that's kind of one of the BSG affiliated things, right? It's like it's private servers like we saw for that labs tournament, where all the players are all together. When you're queuing in, you're only queuing in against those people, and presumably you'll get given an account of some kind. I think like previously it was like everyone got a level 40 account. You'll probably get 42 now, and everybody had like 20 endurance and 20 strength, or 30 endurance, 30 strength, or something along those lines. So everybody started on the flat scale. Everyone got the same amount of money. Everyone's got access to level 4 traders. Then you decide what to buy. I think it's a really interesting tournament system, but obviously right now only BSG can set these things up, because you've got to log into special accounts that are created for the event and whatever. So custom accounts provided by BSG, and so and this is the part which is like I'm actually a bit sad, because not that I would really do very well anyway, but I kind of wanted to try it. But on the 15th, I'm actually already busy, unfortunately. So that's the EU date. But what this tells us more about for the Wipe, or at least like makes us think about for the Wipe, is that the NA event, the North America event, is on the 1st of July. And then the EU event is on the 15th of July.
Right.
And which makes it really awkward.
And like even like the spacing is kind of confusing, because it almost makes it seem like from the 1st through the 14th, there's like a series of matches being played, and then the NA section's over, and then they're gonna do the EU section. I mean, and that's just like kind of how I read it. I'm probably totally wrong. I don't know much about it. Maybe it's just like a single day tournament. I have no idea.
Seems to be, yeah.
But
yeah, it's 3 hours. Each event is 3 hours.
I guess.
So like, but yeah,
why I don't know. That's just kind of a weird time to. That's like a big space. Maybe just scheduling had to work out like that. Who knows?
Exactly. So there's a few different takes about. Well, actually, I say there's a few different takes. There's basically the take I've seen from most people, and then my take, which is a lot of people, including Nice Guy, have said they don't think the wipe will be until at least the 15th of July, until after it's finished, because doing the wipe before the tournaments means that players have to take time away from the wipe to play the tournament. Now,
right.
I haven't seen anybody play the counter argument, which is, I'm not sure whether that necessarily gives us such a safe window. I don't know. Like, it's only 3 hours long for a start. It's not like, a multiple week series with qualifiers and all of this other stuff. Like, it's a 3 hour just free for all hill fest. And then everyone can go back to playing the wipe, right? Like, I'm not sure if a 3 hour block dictates like, oh, the wipe can never be in this 2 week period, and because this is coming up, like now we can't have it at the end of this month. I think Nice Guy said like it needs to be either this week or middle of July or later. Is kind of what he said. So it could be soon, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't rule it out personally. I'm not sure if the event is important enough or long enough or disruptive enough for people to have them not wipe if that's part of their plan. But I mean, it could be as well. I mean, I'm not one for thinking that the wipe was going to be super, super soon. As I said last time, like my random guess was the 13th, which actually coincides fairly closely to the end of the EU event. So it wouldn't actually be outside of what I'd said previously. But I just don't think people should completely rule out the fact that it might happen. There was one other thing separately that someone pointed out to me, which was the very first quest that came through for these events was the bosses quest, 100% bosses. And it was called Hint. And everyone was like, oh, is this a hint for the wipe, right? Hint doesn't really relate to anything. I read the quest dialogue. It doesn't really relate to much. Then it gives you the unlock. This is like proper tinfoil. It gives you the unlock of PvP ammo. And PvP ammo is selling for 701 rubles.
Oh, so someone was just God. Like, no.
Someone was like, is it the 1st of July? Is that what it means?
Confirmed?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. And it says hint, right?
I'm convinced more now than ever you need to make a YouTube video about wipe, because you convert all those chatters to views basically. So like otherwise they're not really, I guess they're watching your stream, so it's like some benefits for you, but yeah. And now you got a great theory, dude. Speculation.
Yeah, and then when you complete the quest, he says like, what hoods, what marks, what foreigners? Are you high? Why did you kill them? Whatever, the job's done and that's it. Others will get the hint, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's hinting more at arena. Oh wait, no, because that's the bosses, right? I was thinking of the Bloodhounds. That's the bosses event.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's so weird. That was dialogue. It's so like vague.
Yeah, that was someone's theory in my chat. I was like, it could be.
I mean, I kind of like it. I want it to be true.
I just like the fact that it says at the end, it's just like, others will get the hint.
Right. But like where's the hint located at? Is it in the ammo?
The ammo, it's the ammo price. It's the special
reward.
Got to be to do with the special reward, because you get like some vectors and stuff for completing it. It's like a vector, like there were 2 tricked out vectors and then a bunch of magazines, and then the unlock of PvP at Skier 1. Like that's the headline unlock. Yeah. And then it's like 701 rubles. I don't know. No, I think it's full on tinfoil. I don't think that's like. I still stick with my kind of like later on, like halfway through July prediction period. To be honest, but I thought it was interesting.
I mean, here's the thing: is there's going to be drops for this tournament as well.
Yes, that too.
Which, if we're going along with the idea of wipe on the first, let's say, that's not really a bad thing, because you like if you're playing the game regularly, you get drops, and then if you're playing this tournament, you get drops, or like there's, I guess the tournament itself has drops. Like I don't know, like it kind of like I don't know. It kind of makes sense in a way. Maybe the individual streamers would also get drops, or whoever's participating. I don't know. But it kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, like that one makes a bit like to have it on the first, the wipe itself, and then also the NA event also on the first. That does feel a bit too much.
Well, like here's the thing: if they didn't have drops for this tournament, and they did the wipe on the first, no one's gonna watch the tournament, right? So like now you have drops for the tournament. It's like okay if you watch the tournament. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But I don't know how much. I don't know. It's possible. I'll say that, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm still in the camp mid-July, but like I have been the whole time. But I thought that was an interesting one, and yeah, we will see. It's added a bit of like there's so many people though have just said like basically that this is it, like we're done until the 15th. And I think with this event ending as well, and nothing else coming straight away, everyone's like, okay, it was a false start with pre-wipe. This tournament's happening, so we're not getting anything for another 3 weeks or so.
Man, I definitely thought that prior, especially because like everyone was saying that, and then I just sort of assumed that the 1st and 15th was like there was gonna be games played in between, like a league, you know.
So did I, yeah.
But now it's just weird, man. I just don't understand why you would have NA division on the first, right? Which is a Saturday, and then you're gonna skip a whole week and then do the next Saturday for EU for 3 hours slot, and it's over. Like you know what I mean? It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it's so far
like
apart.
I'm usually like, if anything, you would do 3 hours in the early mornings, you know, for EU, and then like 3 hours in the evening for NA.
Yeah,
maybe on the same day. You could even break it up on you know, Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just so weird.
Yeah, I could actually imagine like now we're thinking that I could actually imagine a situation where, because the timing is like the way that they put it out, I could imagine a situation where the NA event happens,
right,
and then the wipe happens overnight.
Yeah.
And then people have 2 weeks to play the wipe, and then the EU event happens. Because if the EU event is only 3 hours, 2 weeks after the wipe starts,
right,
okay, that's not that big a deal, right? Because it's 2 weeks later. Like 2 weeks is a really long time when you're playing the wipe. Like the first couple of days matter a lot, and the first week, because people are just like actually permanently glued to the computers, especially like anybody who's, you know, competitive or grading or whatever. But and then chat says, yeah, but the drops for the NA event would be useless. Like, yes, kind of, yeah, they would be. Maybe they could be different drops. I don't know. Actually, but no, it would be useless because they'll get wiped straight away, wouldn't it? Dude, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why would you do drops? Like, who's gonna care about drops this late? You know what I mean? And wipe. Like,
I think Nice Guy said in his vid that they have done like late drops for stuff before, apparently, but like no one's gonna care now. Like it's way too late, right? We're all expecting a new wipe. Like no one's gonna sit there for the drops, surely. Yeah.
I mean, unless the drops are like, you know, you get a permanent Twitch drops cosmetic unlock, then yeah, maybe people will actually care. It's weird. This was the other thing. I was gonna say, fuck it, now I forgot. I hate it when that happens. Yeah, I can't remember, damn it.
It's a lot. A lot. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, Chats was saying, I think it's during the first tournament when the servers are down.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The other thing I was assuming is that this was gonna be like a pub event, like not private servers, like it was gonna be.
Oh, right.
So which also kind of fueled this idea, like, oh, wipe's gonna not be till after the 15th, right? But since it's private servers, it's like not that bad that you can like wipe the game and then but it's still okay to have
exactly. Yeah, like people have been saying, it's like you could have the tourney run while they're patching the game,
right?
Because you could play it on the old version,
Yeah.
For example, and also, yeah, it's not your character; it's someone else's character. So you don't need to prep for the event. Like, what was that evasion one that was like brutal, where you had to have one loadout for the whole run or something? Was that I think that was the qualifier for one of the evasion tourneys. People had like a slick in their bag so they could replace it, and like people spent millions on that qualifier to try and get through whatever it was. I can't remember the exact details, but that was entertaining. But that was obviously people using their actual live accounts rather than this one, where it's 3 hours on a throwaway. So you just do your best and then you go back to playing the game.
Yeah, I guess
I'm not sure if 3 hours matters that much, especially if the timing works like it does.
I guess you would need to do NA on the first. Once that's concluded, then you can wipe because people have to update their games, and then you would have to have the EU be on that new client.
Yeah, you would.
So if you were gonna wipe, it has to be after NA. I guess it could be before, but that just seems really unlikely.
Yeah.
Maybe it is before.
It's also a bit risky to wipe with like a technical patch and then have a tourney like 2 weeks later. Like it.
Yeah, that's true.
Damn better be
well.
fixed.
I don't know, man. I really
and the thing that
like
complicates all of this is that you've got Unity and the patch 13.10 as like 2 separate components. Like, are they coming together? Like, who knows?
Right.
We don't know.
I'm really biased. I just love the chatter that came up with the 701 theory. I love that. So I just want that to happen as much as possible. But
I know that's like my favorite thing now.
I don't. It's just really what's just mind-bogglingly is the Twitch drops. That's just the one that's really confusing for me. That's the one piece of the puzzle that doesn't make a lot of sense. And the split up dates. I don't know. Maybe there's a good reason for it outside of like any wipe theory. Maybe it's just like people playing can only actually play on the 15th. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the big thing. And I think this is why a lot of people have said like, yeah, it has to be after, because it just doesn't, like, you can't make it all line up and make sense, right? You can't fit in the wipe 2 events like a fortnight apart and drops and make it all be logically coherent with a wipe date prior to the 15th. I think that's why people are saying that it just can't be before then, because it just doesn't make sense. I'm just saying sometimes things don't make sense.
Yeah.
This won't be the first time. I just think of that GIF, the guy at the hangman's thing, and he just says, first time. Like it just makes me think of that. Like,
sorry, run that by me again. Why? What was the theory there? Or
so the reason why I think most people think that it must be the 15th or later, is because it's very difficult to fit a wipe, 2 events that are 2 weeks apart, competitive,
yeah,
and drops all in that same time period in a like sensible and logical order. It's very hard to actually make it work, in a way that makes everybody care about the drops, but also want to play the tourney and it not be early. It's like super early wipe.
Right.
And also it's patch with technical fixes and stuff. It's just like,
yeah, it is
confusing.
kind of, for sure.
I don't know.
I don't know either, man. Clueless on that one, dude.
But they could just do it. They could just go crazy and just do it, Oh, any event, and then boom, here's the wipe. Let's hope it's fixed in 2 weeks' time. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I really
if they
like
wait too
that
long.
theory.
Yeah, if they wait too long, then it'll be a really long wipe. If they wait till the end of July, it'll start to be 7 months. It'll start to get really long at that point. I can't imagine it'd be much later than the end of July, but like, who knows? And who knows how it's all going their end, right? They're like this is going to be a technical patch in some sense. So,
right. I mean, there's a possibility that, everything's basically good to go and they've already tested it. There's probably still bugs, but they tested they saw what they could see. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
But I don't know.
Yeah. The question for me still is whether we're going to get Unity and 1310 all at once. I genuinely thought they were going to be separate. But as time goes on, I'm not sure. Somebody was saying oh, maybe they can't update Unity at all without a wipe because it's completely different game version. I was like, I don't know though. I'm not sure if that's set in stone. Because I'd always assumed that Unity would come first and then the patch itself would be the wipe. But Unity could be the wipe first, I guess, and they could patch it after. It seems to make less sense to me that way. They could come together
possible. It's possible. But
I don't know, man.
It's
a crazy time.
Enough.
But yeah, look, otherwise it's been going well. Talkie's actually it's pretty good, honestly, with the airdrop thing. I think everybody had a good time. So that's kind of livened up the community a little. People aren't complaining too much about the lack of wipe actually. Compared to normal, I would say. Sometimes there's a real fever for it, but this time people are sort of interested. I think it's because it's intriguing and no one really knows what's happening.
I've seen one post, but I think it was more of a meta joke about asking when's wipe,
Oh.
I can't remember who said it, but they got a like from me.
Mm-hmm. So, the ancillary topics, I suppose. Where do you want to begin? You were telling me about Dark and Darker.
Oh yeah, they I don't know, man. I haven't kept up with it in a while. The the copium supply. I haven't really been huffing it, but I watched one video, one pegs, not too long ago, and then most recently, there's this chatter about it getting dismissed in the U.S. courts. It seems likely that's going to happen, and then which could mean at some point, maybe not immediately, but Steam will relist it back on Steam. Everything's going to be fine and sweet and dandy, and maybe I don't know.
It's an interesting one with the community over there because it's everyone's desperate to play the game, but the game might just be deleted. And that's it. It's it's a funny one, right? It's some people oh, in the Tarkov community we just want VSG to do better, but we can still play it. It's a lot of people just we may never play this game. This game might not see light of day. It might just get killed, and that's it. Which is pretty crazy. You can see why people are hoping.
Yeah, I think that's the darkest timeline. I mean, hopefully, I hope at the bare minimum the game resembles some shape and form of what it is. There's something to play. I think that's the worst outcome. Maybe it sucks that Nexon wins and they got to pay royalties or whatever, all that, or they can't do certain things. All that sucks, but at least there's something there. Whereas having it completely maybe removed it'd be a pretty cool moment in history, though, gaming history. If that happened. But
no, I did see some of One Piece coverage on it as time's gone on, and yeah, I haven't seen much about it super recently until I started seeing the posts about oh, maybe it's going to get thrown out. So who knows? But there seems there's some kind of I don't know, argument that I think it was to do with the fact that the games were materially different or something. I think there was in Nexon's original plans there wasn't anything concrete about extracting or something. So the games are maybe different enough that it doesn't matter. I don't know.
I heard something.
I remember
they're gonna get an independent third party to look at the codes of the original project, Nexon's project, and then this project, and compare them and see if there's any true plagiarism or whatever. I can't remember if that was in this recent update or previous one, but anywho, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah,
just finally the people can take that. They can no longer. It's like they're on the cusp of being ha, we're not copium huffers. You know what I mean?
I know, because it
We
does
were
seem
right
quite
the whole
close.
time. Yeah.
There was something else like a couple of weeks ago, which was about the main guy because he had like a bunch of the files and was like using them at home, whatever. And then they like accused him of like deleting a load of stuff, I think. But then it was like a part of his contract that if he left, he had to delete everything that was company property. So he's like, well, I just did what it said in the contract, you know? It's like all of this back and forth legally. It's a crazy situation. I think like Peg was saying that even if it goes through and does get dismissed, then Steam may not actually list it back up, unfortunately, because there could be an appeal and then they could have to take it down again. So they'll probably wait till like the very final, there is no turning back moment before bringing it back. So I don't know, maybe everyone will be on the torrents.
It's so wild, dude. You know what's funny is I downloaded the torrents and updated the game, even the patches, but I never played it once. But I did all the work to even maintain the game and keep it up to date.
Really?
Yeah, that's funny.
So weird. So weird. So yeah, let's hope that comes out. That'd be pretty cool. Like, yeah, the people have been playing all sorts of different games right now. Like, you can see the Tarkov like streaming community just playing like everything. It kind of started with DayZ, but there's been a ton of different games that have come out, right? And it's been just insane. Have you played any BattleBit?
I have not. I've watched some videos, well, edited some videos. And it looks, I kind of want to get in on it, especially while it's like hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same, because I haven't played it either yet, and I've seen some stuff about it, but I have like kind of sort of purposefully kept away from it a little bit because I feel like I kind of want to experience it myself, and it's cheap enough that you can just pick it up and try it out. Because I might play it next week on stream a bit. Because if there's no events or anything, like I nearly did it on Thursday, but I ended up I had like a delivery come, so I was going to start late anyway, and I hadn't set it up by the time that I started, and I was like, I'm not going to faff around with this now. But I might stream some next week. I might do like half and half, like start with Talk a bit and then play it a little bit just to see, because I've not seen. It's one of those things where I've not seen anybody say anything bad about it so far, which is always a very, very good sign. And everyone who's playing it seems to be having a great time. So I pick that up. I know Airwing. I've seen a lot of him talking about BattleBit and doing like ridiculous 2,000 kilometer sniper shots and stuff. Right? It's like it's what he loves to do.
Yeah,
it looks pretty cool.
He loves it a lot, to a point where it might even be obsessive. But no, I mean it's basically Battlefield meets Roblox if you want to like super simplify it, but not really. But it's a cool thing because it's kind of like this return to the classics, but in the lens or scope of an indie developer. It's not like this crazy graphical AAA like RTX ray tracing 3D frame generation, multi tessellation Google Splex. It's just like let's keep it simple, let's do something doable, let's focus more on the gameplay. And they actually, I guess because it's a lot more simpler. I don't know if it uses voxels or not, but there is like some destructibility I've seen. But you can have like 127 versus 127 players in a match,
something like that. Yeah,
that's insane, dude. That's insane. I don't know of like any other game that can reach those numbers because I don't think like the servers could support it. Like the traffic. I mean, I don't know. I would assume because it's like generally a simpler game, it can support outside of the graphics stuff, right? But like,
that's the thing. It's like how much more complicated is BattleBit's networking to say something like Battlefield? Like, is the networking specific piece any more simple? Like, I don't know. Like graphically, sure, but I mean, the networking is networking, right?
I would assume the physics, getting the physics to match up, like ragdolls, for example. You know what I mean? Like I mean, there's some stuff that don't really matter. You could probably do client side, but I guess for the things that do matter, like it's just more complex. That would be one thing. I don't know what the bullets are like. Okay, I'm assuming they're not hit scan. But if they are hit scan, then that should be less network trafficking. Maybe not the same amount. Maybe not less information or data. Maybe some. I don't know. I'm really talking out of my ass here. So like someone in the comments can shed some light on this stuff.
Yeah, I really don't know, but I do like the principle of, we're going to make a game that's really, really basic in the graphical sense.
Yeah.
So that it's really easy to run, really fast to run, and we're just going to focus on the gameplay and not focus too much on like performance and things, because there's so many games now that struggle with that, and it's just bring it back. People clearly enjoy the gameplay for what it is, and the graphics. Like, as long as you can immerse yourself, the graphics stop mattering a lot of the time in many of these things.
Really
like, even in things like, I've played like my fair share of Minecraft. I've played a lot of that game, and you just don't even see it after a bit, because everything, your brain just translates everything into familiar shapes and familiar objects, and that's all you really see, right? So your brain's just like, like the Matrix. You're just decoding the things you see, and whether it's in Tarkov and you see a man with a slick on or a raid backpack versus some blocks in Minecraft, or you see something else, like your brain's just like pattern recognizing, and after a bit it doesn't really matter. There was a couple of people when I was talking about it in my chat who were just like, I just like to see the pretty game, and that's that's what I want to do, and I don't really like it that much. And I was like, that's totally fair enough. Like, I don't really like night raids in Tarkov for kind of the same reason. Like, there are some aesthetics that do put people off, but I think for the most part, people are playing mainly for the gameplay. And if the game feels flawless and has high FPS and is great fun, then yeah, hell yeah.
I think unfortunately graphics are a big selling point, because it's kind of like when you advertise a game, you can't really advertise the experience of playing the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can show it, and you can like flash words up on the screen, but you can't like engage in it. Whereas like once you own the game, then you can actually like engage in it. You know what I mean? It's like I guess it's similar to selling a physical product. I don't know, but it's weird, because if the selling point is using like playing the thing, I don't know, like I guess you have to like really use those flashy words and those type of marketing tricks. But
I guess like that's the interesting thing about kind of like modern gaming, though, in some ways, and we've seen this across the past sort of, I don't know, quite a few years, but like very recently with so many games that no one ever believes the developer, right? Because they can just say whatever about their game. But you get these games that just word of mouth, and people say, I've experienced it and it feels good, from like trusted sources.
Right.
And you go, okay, well, let's go play, right? And that's exactly what BattleBit is to me in many ways, because I've like heard murmurings, and then suddenly it's everywhere. It's like when Fall Guys hit, right? And these things just suddenly go viral, because everyone's like, oh, this is fun and it's great to play, just maybe for a bit, like maybe not forever, but like right now it's super fun and everyone's hyped about it. And that's kind of how these games with good feel seem to just suddenly explode into popularity. And like Among Us, it's like how these games with good feel just explode into popularity because people are having fun and they kind of go viral. And because people are enjoying it, other people then want to join the party and want to get involved too. And that's kind of interesting because, like, I don't even know who makes BattleBit. Don't know anything about the development company. Don't think I've ever seen an advert for BattleBit. But I have seen people incessantly talking about it on social media. And that is way more powerful than anything else in this day and age. And it causes these games to just go on this, if you manage to make Liftoff, you just go in this virtuous circle up and up and up, and tons of people end up playing it. I mean, it's the indie model, right? You don't necessarily have the money to spend on marketing like the AAAs do.
Oh, the sign in.
So the game's got to be good.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right, because I'm looking at the Steam database charts. Okay, here we go. So on the 15th, it was like 30K players, concurrent players, and then we jumped to the 20th. It's like up to 60. Like you could just see the chart increasing over time. So like in less than a week, they doubled their concurrent player counts, and it's kind of resting at 60K right now. That's see
big
with that. Yeah, I mean that's a big deal, and I think it really, because I know there was a lot of hype around it. Like I know Clean talked it up a lot. This is the thing, is like I want to try it simply to play to play it while it's got the player count. You know what I mean? Because my fear is like it's at some point it's gonna lose its player counts, and I want to get in on the 254 players. That'd be a really cool experience. So there's definitely some incentive to like play it now.
Yeah, because we see so many of these games just like appear, are fun, and then they die, and the player base is low, and then it's just like, because it's almost like the community matters for these things,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you want people to be talking about it. You want to be able to go to Reddit and there's like new stuff there. You want to see people talking about things on Twitter. It's nice to be parts of those communities. And you want to jump in just in case it all doesn't work out.
What was the most?
Yeah, there's so many.
2042. Let's see. How did that game do? Charts. Oh my god. Wait, this can't be accurate. All time. So this is crazy because it started off at 100K concurrent players, and then that was on the 19th of November, and then 25th November went to 50K, so it got cut in half. And then at the start of December, it's at 30K, and it's pretty much a downward hill from there. There is one major pink. I guess it's a update. Oh, it had a free weekend. So they released it for free on the 18th of December. And so it shot back up to like 30K. But yeah. That's sad, man.
Sad.
Now it's at like it's actually doing okay now, 10K, 6K. But a lot of the lows were like in the 2Ks. But I mean, it's interesting because, right, you got this AAA company, it's essentially their idea, right? It's their original idea, quote unquote. And they put out this game, it's big budget. I guess it doesn't really matter if you sell a lot of copies, it's a win, right? I don't know if they profit or not, but the game pretty much failed from a lot of people's eyes, I think. I mean, the Steam reviews are really bad for it. 37%. That's awful. And I don't even know I'd be kind of curious to see what some of the reviews are. I know a lot of people took issue with the gameplay. But let's say it had no technical issues, and that was the issue, was the gameplay. It's like, yeah, graphics, like how much value, like why do we want to put a lot of value in graphics when at the end of the day what really matters is the gameplay per what the data is showing, the reviews and player count, and BattleBit's only growing.
That's the thing. The AAAs are just like, oh well, they feel like they have to have the graphics, and they're trying to do all of it, but yeah, they end up spending. They just don't have good gameplay ideas, so yeah.
The magical formula is good graphics and good gameplay. Like a lot of times too, I think new graphic technology can like sell games. I'd have to like look up some old examples, but I would imagine like some of the older stuff back when like Voodoo graphics cards, some of like the Quake games, get kind of like the early 3D days. I imagine a lot of those like really sold
copies
it was
of big
games.
Jumps though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But now it's like, well,
ray tracing is like the only
really
jump
good.
we've had. Really. And even then it's oh, yay, I get to I get to turn on ray tracing and lose half my frames. The game already runs at 60 FPS.
Yeah, like all these games keep coming out, and the FPS is terrible, and that's the problem that a lot of people are having at the moment. Is it's just these games are appearing non-optimized, and they're suffering because of the graphics actually. And even if the gameplay is good, people don't want to play it because it feels awful to play at 45 FPS or whatever. It's like, oh man, I've been playing D4. I've been playing D4 recently, and the game's good. The game is good. I'm level 30. I haven't played a lot. I just can't. I find it so hard. And I put a Twitter post out about this, and I'm just like, I'm a bit sad just about me. I just can't get past the old like Diablo
D2,
2. Really, it's so hard for me, and I don't want it to be like that. But it's the realization that I had that I played a decent amount of D3.
Yeah,
and I genuinely don't remember that much about the game. I remember more about it playing through D4 actually, and being like, oh yeah, this is kind of what happened in D3. Oh yeah, there's this mechanic or whatever. But like, it just wasn't as memorable in many ways. There were certain parts, but like so much of D2 is so vivid even now. And I don't know whether that's just like in gameplay hours, like a lot of it is a big, big helping of nostalgia, which is just very, very hard to escape from, because it's like one of the first big games of that type that I had played, so I had nothing to compare it to, and it felt so different. The experience was completely different to anything else I'd played. So it didn't feel, oh, I've seen this in this other game, I've seen this in this other game. And I think that's one thing that modern gaming suffers from a little bit, is that every game is a blend of 3 other games. And everything's taking bits from everything else, which is inevitable, and that's fine. But there was like one little point that I was just like, I was using the waypoints in there. So the waypoint system in D2, like Diablo 2 is like very linear. And you like hop from place to place using these waypoints. You have to go to an area and find the waypoint, and once you found it, you can jump back there from another waypoint, which is kind of cool. It's got the same thing in D4, except D4 actually's got like an open world map. I really like the idea of that. It's really, really nice. But I just like, I don't know, the game works beautifully and works really, really well. But something about the simplicity of some of the older games, and it kind of reminds me of BattleBit in many ways, is that just like the small loading screens between areas and stuff, like reminds you of a time when certain games just didn't have loading screens, because all of the background artwork was just like isometric drawings, effectively. You know, it's like Age of Empires 2, Diablo 2, like that era of games with like sprites and isometric drawings, whatever. The performance of those games was like next level. Like you click stuff and it instantly happens. Like that is mostly the case in D4. To be fair, it does actually perform pretty well. But there's just like, I just get this deep nostalgia for games that just instantly respond. Like opening menus is instantaneous. Like waypointing from one place to another is instantaneous. And you just don't get that anymore with modern games, because they have 3D graphics. It's just the way that it functions. But needless to say, D4 is fun. I'm just not sure if I feel the grip of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a little bit
interesting.
like watching a series and you're just like, yeah, I kind of want to see what happens, but I'm not like super compelled to play it, to like see the next one. I feel a little bit like that about it. Like I don't necessarily care enough about what's coming next. I don't know. It's hard to put into words.
Did you play Diablo 1, like the original Diablo?
I didn't. No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I'm looking at like screenshot comparisons from Diablo 1, 2, 3, and 4, and like, 1 and 2 look similar, but 2 does look pretty different as well. Like it's going from, I mean, it's kind of like a leap. You went from 4x3 to 16x9 on some of these things. I'm sure there's like some graphical leap. I'd have to like look up the wiki and look at stuff, but like it looks like D1 looks pretty retro, and then D2 is like, it's still kind of like, it's still retro-y, but it's like they improved upon things, and there's like maybe some new particles, like it looks a little bit better, right? And then D3 just looks
D3
like
years later, in
right? But it looks so standardized. You know what I mean? Like those older games, things weren't like standardized as they are now, which is what you were kind of saying earlier. It's like every game kind of looks like it's made from 3 other games. And then what's crazy is like D4, to me it looks like Path of Exile. Like I played just a little bit of Path, and that's like even the aesthetics is like very dark and like dilapidated, maybe. It's like very, I mean,
Diablo's always been like that, I guess, and like Path is kind of a homage to Diablo in the first place, so that sort of makes sense. But
sure, but like compared to like D3 is like really colorful.
It was. That was actually a criticism that people had about D3
like it looks like
time.
WoW, and right, but like D2, it's like it is dark, kind of similar, but it just, I don't know, it just looks different. Like I don't know how to describe it. Really,
the thing is, right, you can't, with modern graphics, you can't ever get back to that kind of like
there is color
drawn style of these games. It's like the same. That's why I use Age of Empires 2 as an example, because that's exactly the same kind of thing. You can't get the feel of that graphic style in the 3D model. It seems like nobody seemed to be able to really do it, as far as I've seen anyway. I mean, I haven't played like a wide variety of indie games, but it's like it's just it's a different feel, and it just, as I said, it feels a bit more generic, and it makes me not as invested in the world and that kind of thing. I don't know, man. It's like, as I said, a lot of it's just nostalgia because played it a bunch when there was nothing else available. But I think like sometimes you just have to accept that that's just the way that these games are going to be. I don't know how much I'm going to play. I'm going to play a bit more, I think, because I've got another friend who's played it like a decent amount more than me, and some other guys I think are going to get it. They wanted to wait till payday because it's like the most expensive game of all time. Especially as PC gamers not playing AAA type games. Like Tarkov's kind of a bit of an exception, but it was 60. Yeah, I was saying last time, wasn't I? It was like £60, which right now is like it's about like 75 US, and that's the standard version. It's like it's an expensive ass game.
Oh, I just
it
realized
does work really well, and it's very polished.
I'm looking at Diablo 2 Resurrected screenshots.
Oh, yeah.
So
they did remake it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same.
Yeah, but it's more close. It's like definitely more closer to D1, but none. Anyways.
But yeah, it's good, and it does seem to have some like interesting things in there. There is kind of like more like ongoing stuff to make you want to complete like some of the side missions and that kind of thing. Like previously Diablo games, they've just usually been go through the main missions again and again, and you could like repeat certain specific missions if you want to do certain drops. So I'm not sure quite what the end game looks like yet because I'm not there. But I think it's come a lot more in line with some of the other games like Path of Exile and some of the other like modern ARPGs. Just because the meta of these games changes and the community changes too. Like in the original Diablo 2, once you set your skill points down, you can't refund them. That's it. You have to make a new character, which is not good. But it
right.
It definitely made you play in a different way. Like you basically had to play a few times, like through a few different characters, and they're just like, oh, now I know what's going on, and that all these characters sucked, unless you just use like a cookie cutter build. So it's good that you can reset your skills for cash now, because that's how it works in D4, and I think that's how it works in Path. I've not played a lot of Path, so that's better in some ways, but it does have the flip side of like you're just not like quite as tied to your character in the fundamental ways as you were. But like the whole world is different now, because we've talked about this a little bit as well about the meta of tutorials, about guides and that kind of thing. There was some of that back in the D2 days, but most of the time, when we were first playing, at least we just played. There wasn't really anything else to do, right? There wasn't really that many, well, or at least we didn't engage with it at that time, like the websites with tips or whatever. Like there wasn't a culture of min-maxing everything until later on in its life cycle, at least for me. And I've sort of tried to retain that a bit playing D4. Like I've not looked up any guides. I've not looked up any videos. I've tried to make all my builds myself, because if I do that, I'll completely stop playing the game in like 2 weeks, I'm sure. Like that's half the fun for me, is trying to like figure stuff out and just like cookie cutting the meta combination, because the skill tree is quite complicated. I was just like, like my brain was hurting a bit because there's like so many different things in there to try and you get a bit of this thing and this and this thing and this. Is like all these mechanics overlapping, and to try and fit those things together is actually like half of the entertainment value, rather than just like lifting a build. Like I think my friends just like lifted a build from somewhere, and I'm just like, I mean, yeah, you do you, but I don't know, dude. It's like it's such a confusing thing. Also, just playing against AI just like the whole time. Like the game's just kind of like the game's just like kind of easy. It's sort of the way I would describe it. Like you can turn your brain off and just play, which is also okay sometimes. Maybe that's actually good for me. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe D4 is what I need. I just need to turn my brain off and just fight goat men. But I don't know. I find that I'm like just psychologically struggling with how I feel about the game, because I want to enjoy it, and I am,
Right.
but at the same time, I'm not enjoying it like as much as I thought I would, or as much as I want to, even though it is good. Yeah, and it's just not the same, and I don't think anything ever can be the same.
Right.
I think we just have to accept that.
Yeah, because I mean, it is kind of like your first entry into the series. Like I find like there's something else where I have that same feeling. I can't think what it is though. I guess I'll use like Halo's example. Like I still like Halo Combat Evolved, like the first one, even though like 2 sold better, like it's more people rate it better. It probably is better, you know. But that was my first one. You know, I have so many just like fond memories of it. You know, it's just like, and 2 is essentially more of the same but better. You know, it's like we'll improve upon that. You know, so it's kind of hard. But like, yeah, playing like Halo 5 or whatever's out now, it's just like it's not the same as like playing Halo 1 back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could tell me it's Blood Gulch, but it's not my Blood Gulch.
I think I've seen, because did you ever play WoW?
No, I'm sorry.
No, see, I was not a WoW guy either. And I was actually very anti-WoW because I was part of the kind of the crew of, I've seen it like ruin too many people. Like people start playing WoW and then they never play anything else ever again, kind of thing. And like now that is kind of, you know, after many years, people like reflecting back, I've seen a similar sentiment from other people, just like you could play like WoW Classic and stuff now, but like nothing's ever the same as playing the game like back in the day with everybody playing it through these things for the first time and like figuring stuff out for the first time. Like it's just not the same. And I can totally understand that even without ever having played the game. Just from seeing the way that people played that, honestly, I was like, God, I was so hardline anti-WoW when I was a teenager. Like seriously. I was like, I will never touch this game. I'll never play this game. I was like I was like an anti-WoW warrior in many ways. It was crazy. I was like, because I was like seriously into like, you know, my 1v1 competitive strategy at that point as well still. So I was like, no, this is like the most anti-gaming thing. You basically just spend half your life in chat. It's just MSN with a fantasy overlay. I can hear the pitchforks coming for me already. But yeah, dude, it was. I totally get that. Like, if people say, you know, it's just not the same, because it's like that for many things, such as the nature of, you know, nostalgia and looking back. I have to just try and get past it and enjoy it for what it is. Cool. Do you have any other topics you would like to raise before we start to think about closing out this boy?
I can say about the school game I played. So, have you heard of Trepang 2?
Trepang?
Yeah.
No.
Trepang 2. Not Trepang 1, Trepang 2.
Okay.
I don't think there's a Trepang 1, but anyways, it's this game that's been circling around a bit. It's kind of like do you remember Fear from back in the day, or have you ever heard of the game Fear?
I've seen the
It's
box
like abbreviated.
with the hand. Is there a hand on the box, or is that something else?
Maybe.
I can't remember now.
Maybe you're thinking of Left 4 Dead?
Well, I was thinking that, but I don't know.
I know. I when I think of Fear, I think of the girl on the front of the box.
Oh, it's a girl. It wasn't a hand. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm thinking Left 4 Dead.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Well, anywho, in that game, okay, it's kind of like a horror. There's like horror elements in it. I have like memories of playing it. So, okay, story time, right? My dad took me to the mall to go to this gamer arcade thing. It was like weird because it was like really dark, but it was like they had consoles and they had like computers. It was essentially like a LAN cafe, but it was like kind of like the early days. It's like, hey, let's take this arcade from the 80s idea and let's like bring it to the modern times. But so I remember playing Fear there, and yeah, it was pretty scary. I only played a little bit, of course, but anywho, they have like this feature in there where you can go slow-mo. I forget what they call it, and it's really cool because it's like, I don't know, it's just like, I think you could like slide and maybe dive and do slow-mo. You know, it's very like action movie. So Trepang 2 is kind of like inspired, like the spiritual successor of that game in a way. It's got like some horror elements, I think. and some of the slow mo stuff, and it's really fun. It's a fun mechanic, but I watched a review on it from G-Man Lives. I think he does kind of like a lot of FPS stuff and boomer shooter things, and he brought up this one game called Severed Steel, which because he had some critiques about Trepang too, like this, the story wasn't all that great, the music and I would say like some minor things, but he brought up this game where he said, it do you guys remember this game? And he liked it and he thought it was pretty good. So I tried that game, Severed Steel, and because it had like some more movement to it, where you could do like wall running, sliding, but it's really cool, and it's uses voxel physics, I guess, and like so it's like it's not really pixelated, but I don't know how to describe it because it's like kind of I don't know what voxel even means, but it's kind of like BattleBit, except like they're really tiny blocks essentially. But that's like the world how it's built. So it's cool because it has like ray tracing as well.
Oh right.
So it's like graphically, it actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty sure it has ray tracing. Maybe that's just DLSS. That might be DLSS. I can't remember. But there is some type of reflections. It may not be ray tracing. Maybe it's like screen space reflection. Anywho, it's a really cool game because it kind of plays similar to like Doom, where in Doom you have to, like the newer version of Doom, you have to like manage your resources, and how you do that is by like actively killing something, like basically putting yourself in danger. Like you can play like the classic COD, single player campaign where you're like I'm down. Let me I got hit 3 times. Let me just sit here and camp and hit regen and then like slowly peek and shoot. Like you can't, like you could do that, but you really can't do that because you don't have the regen. So you kind of have to like push yourself into danger. And this operates similarly where your slow-mo ability has like a bar, and if you don't kill something in time, you have to like regenerate it.
Right.
And it's like really slow regeneration, right? Like extremely slow. So you have to like, and anytime you're not doing like stunts, they can hit you. So when you're doing stunts, you're like basically invincible. Like they purposely miss you. So you're essentially like hyper incentivized to do like all these crazy stuff. You know what I mean? Which just makes the game so satisfying because you could do a backflip. Like you're essentially just spinning. You're essentially just dragging your mouse vertically, but your camera like follows. So like you're in the air doing a backflip, going slow mo, and like shooting the guy in the head. It's like Matrix, dude. Like it's so. I just can't. It's so satisfying playing this.
That
game.
Sounds cool, though.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I like it too.
Which was this one? Was this Trepang or was this the other one?
No, this is Severed Steel. Okay, it's an indie, another indie game. Like I guess technically Trepang 2 is an indie. It's also an indie game, but it's like a slightly step up because I think they're like working with Team 17, and they have like a big catalog of developers and publishing. But yeah, dude, it's really cool. The music's also really good too, which I really like. Is it's kind of drum and bass, electronic-y inspired.
Nice.
Which is kind of like a bonus, but yeah, it's been really fun, and it has like a level editor that I was like playing around the other night, but of course it crashed. It gave me a Unity error, or no, it was like an Unreal. It was an Unreal error. Well, but there's some custom maps. Of course, there's Dust 2. Someone made Dust 2. I mean, it's got to exist, right? Yeah. But no, it's a really fun game. I've been really enjoying it. I'm gonna keep playing it some more and go through all the bonus levels. Like just the creativity. Because you kind of have like this Minecraft element where you can have like these really creative, like someone made a church, right? I think it was the developers because like their bonus levels, and it was like just really well put together, convincing. Like the world was a little big in comparison to your character, but like they did that so they could like have more blocks to make more details. You know what I mean? but that was just really fun. That there's just a lot of cool things you can do with the spawning in enemies and triggers and stuff. You had to like fight a tank at the end. It was really cool.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, the one thing it's got me thinking about is how could you do, because I love the movement, like you got wall running, sliding, double jumping, air strafing, pretty much the whole 9 yards. But the slow-mo, like all those things can exist in the game, like a multiplayer game, right? Like Titanfall. But how can you get the slow-mo in a multiplayer game is what I really want to know. And I was talking with someone in chat thinking about it. I was like, man, how could you do this? And because if the problem is if like you go slow-mo and they don't, how does that work?
Desync.
Exactly. Like that would feel awful as like, oh, you could just have the server resolve it. It's like on your client, you're slow-mo, fine, and they're playing normally, but like how did they get the data while you're playing slow-mo? You know what I mean? Because like they have to see the real time, but like you're playing slow-mo on the client. Like there's so many like problems. It's like, okay, well, you just do like, maybe it's like an area of effect. It's like everyone in the bubble is slow-mo, everyone outside the bubble is slow-mo. But then like what happens when one guy's in the bubble and one guy's outside the bubble? It's like the same problem. It's like, fuck, dude, how do you, like, there's got to be some way to get slow-mo to work in multiplayer. This is the thing. It's like you could do it globally, but like, I don't know. It feels really bad
all the time. Yeah, especially if you're unrelated to whatever's happening with the slow-mo.
But dude, if anyone could figure out how to do slow-mo in a multiplayer, I don't care how like jank the graphics are. I don't care if it's Roblox graphics. I want to experience that, dude, because it is
BattleBit with slow-mo.
Oh, dude, it's just there's something really satisfying going from like 1,000 miles per hour, because you move pretty fast in that game, and then like you click the slow-mo button and you're just like falling at an angle, snapping on people's
Why does that always feel so cool? I don't know why. It's just always so good.
Yeah. It's great. So yeah, that's my game. Severed Still. That I definitely recommend. If you can get it like under $20, I think it's worth.
That's cool. It's probably one of those things that goes on sale every now and then.
Yeah.
Just in big bundles of like Steam sale or something, I suppose.
Yeah. I got mine from GOG. You ever done business with GOG? Good old games. You heard of them?
I know of them, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm kind of regretting it. Like it was much cheaper, but the custom maps, you have to get them through Steam Workshop, because they have Steam Workshop integration.
Right.
But I'm using GOG, which uses its own launcher. So I have to now use something called like Steam CMD, which is like Steam's like command line to like connect to the server, log in anonymously, and then like paste a link to download the file and then drag the file to the GOG folder. It's like really annoying to do all this, but yeah, I save some money, so I guess that's a trade-off, right?
Yeah, exactly. You pay with the time,
right?
Instead. Oh man, have you seen the various machinations of Twitch recently and all that stuff that's been going on? Just like random Twitch drama.
So there's a lot of drama.
Just a lot of drama, ongoing craziness. The latest one that made me laugh was Twitch have basically like tried to take donations. You seen this one, the hype chat thing? You can pin a comment in chat, and 70% goes to the streamer and 30% goes to Twitch.
I mean, they literally just copied YouTube.
Yeah.
Super chats.
Yeah, super chat.
Yeah, they literally just ripped that. I mean, I guess good for them on the business side.
Yeah, except they were like, oh, it's 70-30, so, we're changing, guys. It's going to be great. And then in the T's and C's, there's a 5% transaction fee to cover all like credit cards and stuff. So it's actually 65-35, even though YouTube doesn't charge for that at all, right? Because they cover all credit card fees and yada yada. Because they're big enough, they have economies of scale. Like Twitch connected to Amazon, you would think they could probably absorb the credit card fee. They're probably dealing enough with credit cards that they don't need to charge 5%. But it's just there's always something hidden in the way with Twitch. It's just like hey guys, here's the Partner Plus program that nobody can access. You know, it's just like, oh, whoops. I just managed to pull my headphone cable out. I'm getting used to this new pair of headphones.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that because you used to have the fatality ones with the microphone, didn't you?
Oh, I
Right?
missed that. It was just restarting.
Oh,
What did you say?
You were giving me a blank stare. I was like, didn't you? I used to have the fatality ones with the
I did. So
headphone.
I still have these here. But these are a pair that I haven't worn for ages. But I used to use them when I was commuting into work on the tube. And these are like a pair of Sony active noise cancellers.
Oh,
But I'm using them with the AC because otherwise it's
makes
like
sense.
freaking deafening. But what I realized, and this is like now a complete tangent, but what I realized with these headphones is that now I can't hear the sound of my PC at all.
Yeah.
Either, even when the PC is running like full blast with the fans, which sometimes it did on Tarkov, and with the old ones, because these things like they've got like no padding really. There's just like a bit of foam, and that's about it. But these things, just like low hums like that, are just completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the raids, when I've been wearing, because I picked up a pair of Contact 4s from someone, I've been wearing the Contact 4s, which just like completely suppress all the ambient in Tarkov. And I've been wearing the active noise cancelling headphones over the top, and I'm just like, I can hear people from like miles away. Like this is actually,
I bet it's really
this is
good.
actually broken.
Yeah.
Like I was in the K buildings and I could just hear somebody just like walking around in night, and he just like wandered up to the roof, wandered down from the bottom. I was walking around too, and then I just shot him from night. From the K buildings. I was just like, yeah, he couldn't hear me at all. Like it's actually nuts. So I wanted to figure out how to make these work for a long time, but I had to find this very specific cable that goes with them. It's not that long. I've had to pull my PC a bit closer because I don't want them. I don't have a Bluetooth dongle. I didn't want any delay or anything, so I've got them wired in. But there's a little like recess, so you can't just use a normal aux jack. It doesn't go in all the way. And when you play on Tarkov, only some of the channels come through, which is really weird. Like some of it like is really echoey. Like you can't hear your own footsteps, for example, but you can hear the echo of your footsteps elsewhere. And like only half of the sounds from Tarkov come through because I've only got like half of the connectors connected. It's like it's really weird. I don't
you're saying when it
understand
comes loose?
No, like a normal aux cable doesn't have the small recess. So you
Oh.
can't plug it in all the way.
Small
And so
recess.
there's like the Sony cable is like straight, and then there's a little indent
Right.
before the actual end comes out. A normal aux jack doesn't have that indent, so it doesn't fit all the way into the slot. So only some of the contacts make connection with the headset. So some of the channels,
gotcha.
And it's only stereo, so I'm not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, that
but
is
there's
weird.
something's missing. You can hear gunshots just fine, but I can't hear my own footsteps. But you can sort of. It's like maybe there's an advantage in there somewhere, but it's really off-putting. Like, and some stuff you just can't hear. Like it's just it's so weird. And I had this issue for ages, and I was like trying with all my settings and and then it's like picking this back up. I was like, I need to make this work because this stupid machine is like actually deafening. I've like never had AC. It's like really loud. Surprised me how loud it was. So I've got like the noise cancelling thing on the mic, but then I was like, I can't hear. So the stream can't hear it, but I can. So I like whipped these babies out, and then I was like, I found the cable finally, and now I'm just in this like silent, pristine universe of just like all hearing. I can hear loads of stuff on Tarkov that I couldn't before. Actually, it's like kind of cool.
Makes me wonder if I should switch to. I really like the open headsets, but I'm sure they're probably not great for isolating sounds.
I don't know whether they have like an active noise cancelling. I imagine they don't exist with open backs because that's kind of like kind of against what they're for. I would imagine, but maybe it exists. I'm not an expert, so I don't really know. But I've only ever used closed ones. But I mean, these ones have a lot more just general passive sound muffling than the old ones do. They are heavier though, so they do start to weigh down a little bit. That's what I liked about these guys because they're just so light. They just sit on my head for hours, and I could just. It's not like I'm not wearing anything, but because these ones are a bit more beefy. But yeah, certain sounds, it's just I can't hear any low rumbles, any buzzes, nothing. It's all just gone.
I've been interested to try the IEMs. I think they're called.
Oh yeah,
the in-ear ones. But
go on Jesse's subathon and go and win a pair in his competition.
I saw someone. This guy does like, mouse reviews, keyboard reviews. He did like a 5 budget, like budgety friendly ones. But yeah, I've been interested to try them. But anywho, What were we talking about prior to this?
Dude, I don't even know. We were talking about this game that you were playing. We were talking about Seven
No,
Steel, and then
you talked about something. Chat? What chat?
was
What
I was I talking about something else just before I pulled the cable out? Oh yeah, because I went on the
Oh,
tangent,
we're talking
didn't
about
I?
Twitch. That's right.
Oh yes, Twitch and its crazy ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I
It's just
was
like everything they release seems to have some kind of like hidden, like underlying like penalty or downside or
man.
whatever.
Did you see a clip where it was like Twitch talking, like they were doing like some like community thing, and like they had like the CEO got to like people got to interview him, but they also had like other people communicating to like the audience, and like there was this clip that circulated where he made a comment where it's like, well, yeah, we get to like when you're the number one platform, you get to like charge these fees. Ha ha ha.
Mm.
It was I can't like I had to
Yeah.
find the
I did
clip.
see it, and I
Oh,
didn't
you
actually see the
did?
clip. I saw people talking about it, but I never actually watched the clip itself. And I saw a couple of people asking about like whether there's some context. And I think like supposedly, I mean, don't take my word for it because I didn't watch it, but like
Mhm.
supposedly in the longer clip, he was talking about the mobile industry or something and being like, if you're the monopoly provider, then like you can basically charge what you like. But it was like in reference to like their business model or something. And so
Exactly.
everyone's like,
Yeah.
dude, what the hell?
Yeah.
Um, but that's how like they act that way. I'm not really surprised. I don't know. I know people like posted that clip around because it's like, aha, gotcha, right? But like we all know that Twitch acts this way because that's how they
Yeah.
feel. And it's starting to become less true as time goes on. But that's how
Yeah.
they
Perhaps.
feel. But it's just weird, right? Because like they're part of the Amazon group and they're obviously under pressure. It's like this the Partner Plus thing was interesting because so what was the deal? You had to have 350 tier 1 subscriptions to get into Partner Plus, I think was the requirement. Now, most people like it's because it's specifically like paid for tier 1 and it was 3 months as well, paid for recurring subs. Like most people is like gifted, which didn't count, and Prime, which didn't count for getting into this program. So it was only like from estimates it was like 2% of all partners could actually get into Partner Plus. It's like such a low amount because you need to probably have, I mean, I don't know the numbers, but it depends on person to person, right? But you probably need 800 to 1,000 subs to get 350 tier 1 like recurrence. Because just the ratios, right? Like most of your subs are going to come from Prime, a bunch are going to come from Gifted, and then there's some number are going to be actual people paying. Yeah, 2.5%, Blue says in chat. So it's like, it was just this tiny amount. And it was like, the headline was like, oh, 350 subs to get this Partner Plus. And it's just like, well, 350 subs is like, it's way more than what I have anyway, because I'm just not on enough. But it's also way more than what a lot of people have. And then when they looked into it, it's just like, oh, we actually need like, you need like multiple amounts worth of 350 across all subs to get this specific kind of sub that's the one they're looking for. And it needs to be for 3 months. And that will then upgrade you to 70/30. It's like, okay, well, this doesn't actually affect anybody. But like the way that the Twitch CEO was talking about it, it was just, he basically was like, we've been given an amount of money to incentivize people by Amazon. And we could either roll it out to more, like roll some of the money out to more people or cap the top end. And we had to decide where the money went. Basically, it's like we only have so much to give from Amazon. Like Amazon decides how much they give because like it's capped at the top end too. So everyone's getting 50/50 unless you're the 2% of people who can get 70/30. And then you're all good on 70/30 on tier 1 subs and on gifted subs, not on Prime. You still get 50/50 on Prime. So it's tier 1 and gifted that you get 70/30 on, unless you're making a load, and then there's another cap, and after that you make 50/50. So it's like there's this like band in the center where it applies. It's just like it's so like they may as well not have bothered, right? It's just like I'm sure there's some people who are happier about it, right? It's more than what they were doing before, but it's a marketing attempt
Right.
more than actually helping streamers or making the platform better or anything like that. And that's what sucks. And then this hype chat thing again, it's like trying to prevent people from donating because that's kind of what bits and all that stuff was for in the first place, to try and get Twitch in the middle of people donating to streamers. Donations are still 100% because, well, what else are you going to do, right? It's not related to Twitch. You just donate and there's an alert. And that's what people should be doing if they want to support people, is to do donations, really. But then Twitch are like, oh, we've got this thing which is like super chats, and now we can take 70% plus another 5 that we're not going to tell you about up front. It just feels so shady, right? And it's just like Twitch is just slowly alienating all the people and forcing them to want to try other stuff, either Kick or YouTube. I mean, people have issues with Kick, and YouTube doesn't necessarily have the culture for, you know, when most people, like, when people move from Twitch to YouTube, like on a permanent basis, they get like if you're a streamer first and foremost, like your revenue's absolutely demolished. Go to YouTube, just because the culture isn't there for paying for things. You know, everybody watches the vids and they watch the ads, and that's how normally people get paid on YouTube. Or there's a sponsorship integration as well, right? There's no culture to like pay to the people that you watch, really. And they're changing that with some of these things, super thanks and stuff. But the culture is there on Twitch right now, and the culture is building on YouTube at the moment. So it's difficult for people want to go to YouTube.
Yeah, you basically have to build the culture yourself there with your audience. Yeah,
exactly. And then Kick, it's like, oh, well, they're giving like this really good split, but then there's like all the other stuff that makes it difficult, right? The backers, which people just don't like on principle. Some of the headline dudes, which people don't like on principle, and it just makes it kind of hard. But the more that Twitch goes down this road, the more people that are tempted to push across and move. Because that's the thing, like once you move away from Twitch, you can guilt-free do YouTube and Kick at the same time. So there's actually, you know, you get like the monetization benefits from Kick and all the other benefits from YouTube. Like YouTube is basically best for everything except for a bit of like, you know, chat user experience and monetization for the streamer. Like quality's high, and you know, there's discoverability and all this other stuff. But like, I don't know. I feel like if Twitch keeps going, people will eventually just go. You know, and they've got high profile moves. Got XQC leaving, go to Kick and stuff. It's I don't know.
All right,
it just makes you really think about like Twitch's future. I would be nervous to be 100% all in on Twitch. I really would be. I'm very glad I'm not.
I want to talk about this more, but let's do another day because I want to squeeze this in right at the last minute. We got some breaking news, straight hot off the press. Go pull up your Twitter, Giga. Go check your notifications. Look for Nikita, okay? Nikita.
Wait, on Twitter?
On Twitter, yeah. Wait, do you have him on Discord? Check your Discord notification for Nikita.
20 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, Nikita tweeted, quote, "It goes beyond all limits. What should I do with him?" And he has a screenshot of Logical Solutions message in his Discord where he says, "If there is somebody that has ETS access and wants to stay anonymous and contribute to our efforts, DM me, smiley face. I just want to find out if ETS is really on Unity 2021. To the rat in here reporting things to BSG, middle finger." So this is, I know, dude, this is interesting because I remember seeing this. I'm in Logical's Discord. It's I guess it's just like where it's basically the Tarkov Changes Discord. And you know, I remember seeing that ping a few, I don't know, days ago. Might have just been like 3 days ago. Couldn't have been that long ago. And I don't remember it talking about ETS. I did remember the rap part. That's what stood out to me the most. Shoot, man, I wish I could find where that ping was. It had to have been in general. Anyways, dude, this is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. Oh,
here it is. Oh yeah, see, it was edited. So like the edited part, when I saw it, yeah, look at that. Okay, so when I saw it, it said, "Thanks to those who DM smiley face to the rat." Yeah, it basically leaves out the whole part about ETS. I don't remember seeing the ETS stuff. So that's really interesting. I mean, let's say Logical is speaking the truth here. He just wants to know about Unity 2021. Okay, I guess, you know, I don't know, but I don't know, man. This is interesting because there's really not like, from my understanding, there's not really that much difference from the ETS. Like, it's the same launcher. It just downloads different files. It's, you know, it's kind of just like you can do the same data mining, poking around, snooping stuff that you can on the, main client. So, yeah, I don't know. This is kind of I could see why BSG is like, not only are they like, someone's breaching their user agreements or whatever, and also you got people snooping around in your ETS, things are probably not finished, features, who knows what they accidentally left behind that they didn't mean to, leaks. I mean, I don't know, kind of a tricky one.
I think the problem that I have with this in general is I still don't understand why ETS is under full NDA.
I'm sure it's to protect them, like BSG.
From what? Like, I don't see any real reason
Negative
why
press.
it's like that.
ETS just launched the worst feature in Escape from Tarkov. I don't know.
Maybe.
Guys,
I
the
just
game's
fundamentally
doomed.
disagree with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've always disagreed with the ETS NDA. So it makes it hard for me to kind of be like, oh, I mean, I can see the clear beef here, right? I know Logical's rubbed them up the wrong way before too.
Yeah.
Like, they don't like him at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's at some point, like, you can't keep everything a secret, The only good conspiracy is a conspiracy of one. Like, it's just, there's no way someone will be Logical Solutions. If you get rid of him, someone else will do that. I don't know, man. I just like, it's interesting, but
someone said the tweet made 30 people DM Logical to help with the ETS news.
Yeah, it's publicity too.
I don't know. I mean, you bring up a good question: is why is it under NDA? And I also do find it a little silly that the early access game in beta has a testing for the beta, like a private testing for the beta game. You know what I mean? Like, we have a beta within a beta.
Yeah.
Like, isn't this supposed to be the beta testing? But we have early testing like, it's just, I don't know. It is kind of weird.
Axel's made a good point here in my chat. Say, like, we've assumed some information. He said I'm lost, but what is ETS and who is Logical? Which is fair enough.
Okay, true.
Like, ETS is the early access test servers for Tarkov. They are invite only. They are under NDA, so that you can't talk about anything that is going on in the testing within those servers. They're completely separate from the main base game. And because they're under NDA, which means that no content creators can stream on them, it means that most people don't play them. Really, that's my impression. I know that there's a community of people that do that, but the vast majority of content creators probably never touch ETS, even if they're able to, because
maybe
people are busy either like being live or editing videos or whatever. Like, having to play Tarkov in an untested version offline without your stream, without anything, is just something most people are not interested in doing. There are some people who are interested in doing it. That's fine, but and Logical Solutions is the guy who runs TarkovChanges.com, and it's basically they data mine stuff. They're the ones who find out about the spawn rate of the bloodhounds and all this kind of thing. All of the public facing information that's not encrypted within the game, they get access to and tell the community, in short. So yeah, basically Logical wants people to tell him what's happening in ETS, even though it's under NDA. But because a lot of people disagree with the NDA, I can see why people would give the information. I never would. I don't want to be banned, but I also don't necessarily agree with all the reasons why it's under NDA in the first place, and never have. Like Church was saying, it's the beta to the beta. We're supposed to be beta testing in Tarkov, but because now the game has got so big, they're now scared to make big changes or like testing changes to the main game before they've tested them somewhere else first, because the main game is de facto released because of how big it is.
Right.
So now they have to use the beta testing version. But nobody uses the beta testing version because it's freaking under NDA. I mean, like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
This is the this is what I believe to be the truth: is the game is effectively a live service game. It's just they get to sit behind the security and wall of early access that early access provides. I mean, it's kind of a shitty thing, but
I think so.
And also reality, it's a fun game. A lot of people like it, so it's just the way things are, unfortunately. I mean, I kind of feel like they are just leveraging free labor. Do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
think
kind of.
I think you would, if like we're like what's the incentive? You were given the content creator example, right? So like the incentive for them to do the testing is what? They get to like have a sense that they're, making the game, improving the game. They get to like have a sense that they're giving feedback. Maybe some like self-satisfaction. But let's, you know what I mean? Like typically though, for something like this, right? This is like truly the testing to work out the bugs. Like, cause I mean, I heard that they've done inertia testing on one of the ETS branches, and there was some feedback provided, and it got changed before it came live in 12.12. And I'm sure they also test for like bugs and things like this. Like I think they even did some for the audio, the Oculus. I heard of rumors. But I feel like some of this stuff, like especially the Oculus stuff, if you were a developer, you probably would pay like a professional testing team, where they would sign NDAs, you know what I mean? But here you're signing NDA for free, like, you know what I mean? Like you're not getting paid to do it. Like it just, I don't know, something seems kind of wrong when you put it on perspective, but
I guess I think if people want to do it for free, then that's fine.
Right.
But I don't think it's, and they have their own testers anyway as well, right? But it's one of those. It's another line of defense, I guess, and people are willing to do it for free and want to do it for whatever reason. And that's, I guess, okay. But I always question the effectiveness of ETS in its current format.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't feel the testing is necessarily that robust, and the feedback's not necessarily robust enough to be useful.
That's the cost of free labor. You get unprofessionals, so that's the price they're gonna pay. But
and maybe that's the way they see it too. They're like, well, we have our testers, we have the community on the regular game. If these guys catch a few things, great.
Right.
We get to test it on like a wide range of hardware that we just don't have access to. We get to test it on like 1,000 PCs.
Right.
And some people are having like their frames are cut into or whatever, and like we can fix that before it comes out. Great. If that's the case, okay, fine. But like that's not required to be under NDA. And this is the whole point. I don't mind ETS. I just mind the NDA. Like ETS is bad because of the NDA.
Right.
I think it would be better without the NDA, because then loads of people would try it, and loads of people test and say, "Oh, look, this is coming." And I don't think they released any like features or anything. It's like, yeah, maybe inertia models or whatever. It's not like you get like, I don't think there's anything crazy that comes in there. It's usually just like technical stuff, as far as I'm aware. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I just disagree with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, those are the only two rumors I've heard about ETS. Maybe in the future they'll do like, the BTR tank on streets or something, and they don't like, they want that to be a surprise. Maybe that's the whole surprise mentality. I really don't know. I'm kind of in agreement with you. The NDA doesn't. It's just odd. Like I assume it's to protect them in some form or fashion, whether it's like criticism or something more legal. I have no idea. But anyways, I think it's interesting that I don't really agree with. I don't know. I don't really think it's good moral that Logic is actively asking for people to basically break their NDA.
It's not a good look, I will say.
Yeah, I mean,
but he also probably feels at this point like he's so out of their favor that like, what has he got to lose? Which I can also understand.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, I mean, let's assume that he really wants to find out Unity 21. It's like, okay, I guess, but like, why? Like, why does that matter? I don't know. It's there's definitely like a dark side to this stuff where people could try to steal the game, essentially steal the IP. I mean, you could argue that Tarkov SP is effectively that. It's just freeware in a sense, but you do have to buy the game or you have to get the original copies, but people could share it. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird. We've talked about this before to death, I feel like, but
yeah, I'm just going to read. So Hayes just sent a message like 3 minutes ago on Twitter, and he just said like, anyway, I don't know why ETS has an NDA in the first place. It doesn't seem like the testing of game content happens on there, mostly technical changes. Someone's like, yep, there has never been a test on ETS with new content. From Twitter.
Source, bro.
Source me, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Source, I made it up.
He can't source because he has an NDA.
You do?
Just have to trust me.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Well, what can they do? What can Nikita do about Logical? Nothing really, right? They can ban his account from the game if they want, but that's it, really.
I think that feels futile. I think it's kind of funny, like, because like, what's Nikita really doing here? Is he just like trying to bring some heat to Logical, in a sense? You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of saying like, this guy's this guy's a little bit of a bad boy. You know, how should I punish him? You know what I mean? When, as we said, it's kind of obvious the only thing you really can do is like ban him and his associates. Like, that's kind of it, really. So it just kind of seems like maybe he's just venting some frustration, or maybe trying to stir the pot a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
trying to get him to stop.
Yep, I guess so. Or they need to talk and whatever. I mean, Logical replied to the Twitter post and said, you could respond to one of my emails, Reddit messages, or Telegram messages, and we can have a conversation like I've been trying to have with you at VSGT for over 2 years. I have no issues with you or the game at all, just the rat people in my Discord.
Rats.
The
Only
rat
Chads
people in my
this.
Discord. Yeah.
Someone commented underneath him and said, respond to my DMs or I'll leak info in your game. L.
I don't know, man. I don't think there's anything Nikita can do about it, unfortunately. He's in a spot where
it's kind of at the I mean,
he's trying to protect information that can't really be protected, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
they
you
could
can sign an
put
NDA,
more
but like,
effort.
then you break the NDA, then what? Like, oh, they remove you from the program. Like, oh, they ban you from the game, then what? Like, they can't do it. They don't have any power. This is a problem. What are they going to do? Sue you in the US from St. Petersburg? Like, come on. What are they going to do? It's like, there's no chance. There's no chance. Like, they have no power whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the other thing is like, well, they could just encrypt the game, and I'm not an expert, but encryption, bro, just encrypt it, lol. But that's just like more work, if that is something they could do, that's just like more work for them. So it's like, I can understand why they probably don't want to do that, but at the same time, maybe that is one solution you should consider.
I guess this one isn't even, this is like human info though, right? It's like, that's why this is particularly different. If he's just like, if he's getting information out of the game about events or loot drops or, spawn rates, whatever, that's one thing. But this is like asking people to break NDA. It's like, well, they can't even do anything.
He's
in the
asking
game
them
about
to break NDA so that way he can get, like, I'm assuming he wants to get, actually, I don't know, actually.
I think he said he wanted to find out what version it was. So he wants to like look at the files, I guess, and figure out what game version they're running.
It's pretty vague.
It is vague. I don't know what he wants exactly.
All he wants is someone with access to ETS, which is, that can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
I would assume he would want to get the game files. That would be my assumption.
Yeah, maybe he wants to look at all the changes. Who knows? I don't know. It's drama. We'll see how it pans out. I don't think anything will happen other than maybe he gets banned, maybe on his main account, but it won't stop him. So,
yeah.
I don't know what they can do. I don't think BSG can do anything. I don't think that their TOS is enforceable in this way. Like, you can put stuff in TOS, but what really matters most of the time is whether these things are enforceable. I don't think they can enforce the terms that they have, other than the things within their power, which, as we said, is banning them.
I don't know, man. It's really weird. It's just I just go back to why are we having a test within a test? You know, it's just kind of weird. That plus the NDA stuff.
Yeah, it is weird, but I sort of get it. It's almost an admission of the fact that it's not like a fully in beta, you know? It's an admission of that. It's an admission because the game got too big to just roll out like changes like a normal pre-access beta would.
Okay, yeah, sure. But it's just that's the thing where it just feels like they're kind of you know, maybe cheaping out here. You know, maybe they should invest in a more professional testing to test some of this stuff, right? Like if that one guy with the Doge picture is to be taken seriously, that they don't test new features on there. You know, it's like technical testing. Like, wouldn't you want professionals doing that? I don't know.
As I said, maybe they have both, so who knows? Because this is free, so it doesn't really add anything for them to do it other than, I guess, the drama.
The work to actually do it and track everything and get something out of it, yeah.
I don't
know. Either.
Cool. Well,
let me just say this one final thing. I just feel like if you want to do this, fine, but just make it open to everyone. Like, why does it got to be closed off? Like, I personally would love to help out where I can, like, if it's like going to be meaningful. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but instead, it's like
I agree.
I have to like send emails and hope that I get in. Like, I've already done it once and I didn't get in, so it's like,
and then don't talk about it.
Right. It's like there's like this fear of now, am I going to get outed if I talk about it? If I'm in with other people that are in, is he going to out me? Yeah. It's like you and me are in the ETS and we talk about it behind closed doors. Now it's like, oh, is he going to out me? Am I going to get banned? It's like, it's fear mongering, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is taken seriously as well.
Yeah.
The NDA.
Yeah.
Like, let me just say this, because this doesn't breach anything, right?
Hold up.
But you aren't allowed, or it's okay, it's not allowed, right? It is very, very inadvisable to share screenshots with other people in ETS because it has your account timestamp on the screenshot.
Yeah.
And that person could send it to someone else.
Right.
And that could, and like it's your account on this timestamp, right? So if you have to be the only person that owns footage of your ETS, even if you like are talking to somebody else who has ETS, like it's taken that seriously.
But like,
people are just like, don't send any screenshot, like even in the private chats,
right? So you have
like,
to
no
send
screenshots,
it
nothing
to like the void of BSG and make sure no one else sees it, but only BSG, right?
Basically.
Hey guys, are you also experiencing this bug? Oh, wait, let me describe it to you. Okay, so like, you know, all right, let's play Pictionary. I'm gonna pull up MS Paint. I'm gonna draw the.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, dude. I just find it weird. It's so like it's such a paranoid kind of like unnecessary overlay over the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I've never really understood it, but not my call.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week's ScavTalk. Nice little spicy last minute entry at the end.
I know.
Usually we do drama alert at the front.
Yep.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in as always, and we will see you all next week.
Bye-bye.